Chapter 492. Watch your mouth. Aren't you just jealous of President Sue and her husband's immortal love? The commenter above probably hasn't been in a relationship before. Girls tend to be especially vulnerable after they get hurt. If a man treats you sincerely at a time like this, there are usually two situations. One is that he's afraid of his previous relationship and doesn't dare to give up his feelings easily. The other is that he's quickly fallen into a new relationship. President Sue is obviously the second type, so there's nothing strange about this. Even though that was the case, some people still didn't understand. Some people even thought that if they followed this explanation, Su Yiyin and Hua Chenhuan's marriage was precipitated by Su Yiyin's impulse. Impulse was called impulse because it was temporary and couldn't last forever. Therefore, a marriage like this wasn't strong, and it was very likely that it would lead to a divorce. Only Su Yiyin knew that when she lost everything and her entire world became dark and hopeless, he would always protect her. Even after she died, he still gave up everything for her and avenge her family at all costs. After he succeeded, he didn't hesitate to commit suicide for her. It was only half a year, but it felt like a lifetime to her. How could she not be attracted to him after seeing all this with her own eyes? She was human and she had a heart. No matter how cold the ice was, it would be melted by him. How could her heart not be moved by him? With everyone's interruption, Su Yiyin and Hua Xiaofeng's broken engagement was dug up and discussed again. I've heard about the incident between Miss Su and family, Hua's eldest young master. After that incident, many people laughed at the Su family behind their backs. They thought that Miss Su was useless and couldn't keep her man. She deserved to have her fiancé snatched away and become a mistress. Oh my God, is this for real? There are still people with such thoughts. It's clearly the man's fault, so why are they laughing at the girl? What kind of twisted view is this? This insider wasn't lying. Men and women were equal, but the world's prejudice against women had always been there. Although the Su family was not as rich as the family Hua, they were a harmonious family. Mr. Su could be considered a weirdo in the upper class. As his career grew, he never despised his wife who had gone through hardships. Instead, he doted on her more and more. He was many times better than those playboys who kept the red flag at home as soon as they became rich and had colorful flags fluttering outside the house. Even for Mrs. Hua of Hua Qihan's family, the two of them looked very harmonious on the outside, but when they returned home, they would be bossed around by her husband and ordered around. Before she got married, she was a pampered daughter of her family. After she got married, she was doted on by her husband. She also had a pair of sensible and lovely children. Cheng Xiuqin naturally attracted the envy and jealousy of many upper-class madams. Everything had been smooth sailing for half of his life, and the only thing that went wrong was his daughter's marriage. Even if many people did not dare to say in front of them, they would definitely make a lot of sarcastic remarks behind their backs. This is still considered good. Later, when Miss Su married family Hua's youngest uncle, they were the ones who made nasty remarks. They said that Miss Su's reputation was ruined and she couldn't get married. She gave up on herself and married a good-for-nothing. Even Miss Su's parents were said to have sold their daughter for the sake of reputation. F***CK. I thought that those low-life keyboard warriors on the internet had bad mouths. Why are these successful people? Chapter 493. Jealousy doesn't matter if you're successful or not. It only matters if the other person is living a better life than you. Whether it's happiness or suffering, it's all about comparison. Upstairs, are those who know the truth still there? Hurry up and continue. What happened after that? What else can happen? In order to stand up for his wife, Uncle Family Hua held the wedding in a private group. There was a beautiful manor on the island, and beautiful blue roses were planted in the courtyard because Sister Su liked blue roses. After the wedding, the manor and the island were given to Sister Su as a wedding gift. Needless to say, many of the people who were still complaining online at this time were young single dogs. Boys and girls of this age were all good, and they more or less still had a trace of fantasy about love. This is true love. In the ancient novels, I'm willing to marry you with a large sum of money. It's actually true. Mommy, I believe in love again. imagining family who his uncle couldn't bear to drag his beloved down because of health reasons. Therefore, he silently watched his beloved woman marry someone else and planned to secretly protect her for the rest of her life. In the end, he didn't expect that his beloved woman would meet a scumbag. The uncle flew into a rage and spent all his savings to marry her for his beloved woman. Haha, this plot. Come. I'll give you the pen. You write it. Affectionate, mysterious, overlord ex-scumbag queen. He's good-looking, gentle, considerate, rich, and dotes on his wife. I'm eating this pear. What are you guys waiting for? Start writing. It's a pity that President Sue's husband only has one photo. President Sue rarely appears except for the previous video of her tearing scumbags apart. Otherwise, we can also produce our own food. Needless to say, sometimes having a hole in one's imagination wasn't a bad thing. If one wasn't careful, they might find out the truth. Huo Chenhuan looked at the passers-by who had nothing better to do on the internet. They had already started to write about him and Su Yiyan. The corners of his lips curled up slightly. Then he thought of the criticism that Su Yiyan had received when he married her, and his face darkened. This was the scene that Zui Yanbai saw when he entered the room. His heart skipped a beat. He straightened his clothes and walked to Huo Chenhuan's side. Young master, the 40th anniversary of the founding of the Huo Corporation is in a few days. You didn't attend in the past, but this year. Moreover, Huo Chenhuan was also a member of the family Huo. Although old master Huo had given the Huo Corporation to Huo Qihan, he had not mistreated his son and had still given him enough shares in the company. Therefore, Huo Chenhuan was still a shareholder of the Huo Corporation. However, as a shareholder, although he held 20% of the Huo Corporation's shares, he rarely interfered with the Huo Corporation's affairs. In the past few years, he had barely shown his face at the Huo Corporation. Perhaps many people had forgotten that he was a shareholder with no presence. Huo Corporation's 40th anniversary celebration. Huo Chenhuan's hands, which were hanging on her lap, subconsciously tightened. A part of my shares was transferred to Yin Yan, right? Yes, you transferred 100% to young madam. Huo Chenhuan smiled. This was the first time that Zui Yanbai had seen Huo Chenhuan smile so happily other than when the two of them had gotten married. But at that time, he had only felt warmth from her smile. Now, her smile made him shudder. Go. What? Yin Yan and I will be there for this year's celebration. Zui Yanbai's heart skipped a beat. He suddenly understood something and smiled faintly. I understand. I will arrange everything in advance. Okay. Chapter 494. As soon as Su Yiyan got home from work, he saw that the video of him scolding the reporters had been posted online. Unexpectedly, the person who posted the video was not one of the reporters he had scolded, but one of Shuet Saiwei's fans. Su Yiyan only needed to ponder for a moment before she knew who was behind this. He had thought that Huo Chenhuan might have seen the video, but now that it had really happened, Su Yiyan was still a little embarrassed. He had confessed in front of so many people. This was really declaring his sovereignty to the whole world. Su Yiyan's face was red as he thought about how to face Huo Chenhuan when he got home. Unexpectedly, a big problem approached him first. Brother? Why are you calling me now? What's the matter? Can I call you if there's nothing? On the other end of the phone, Su Yuxuan snorted and muttered, Sure enough, after getting married, Dad and my status has dropped. We're no longer the best man in your heart. How can you still think of us at a time like this? Although Su Yuxuan's nagging was loud, Su Yiyan could still hear most of it. He immediately guessed why his brother was calling him at this time. He was embarrassed, helpless, and guilty. Cough. Brother, you misunderstood. I didn't mean it that way. If you didn't mean it that way, then what did you mean? I haven't talked to you for a long time. When you called me out of the blue, I thought something had happened. I was worried. It was fine if Su Yiyan did not say this, but when he said this, Su Yuxuan could not help but snort again. So you know that we haven't seen each other for a long time. Have we talked? As expected, you don't need to kiss people when you have a husband. I saw the video just now. Su Yuxuan was getting angrier. It was bad enough that his cabbage had been taken by a pig, but now he was being brainwashed by a pig. He almost forgot that he was a cabbage. He was so angry that he exploded. As soon as Su Yin heard his words, he knew that today's hurdle would not be easy to overcome. He took a deep breath and said, "Brother, don't be angry. At that time, I was pestered by those reporters for too long. I was so angry that I lost my head. It's not like you don't know that those reporters are completely unreasonable in order to attract attention. They only want to dig out big news from my mouth. If I didn't exaggerate a little, how could I have shaken them and escaped from their clutches?" Su Yuxuan's expression softened after hearing her words, and his tone softened. "Those reporters were indeed a little too much, but you shouldn't have. I was wrong." As soon as Su Yin heard his tone soften, she decisively admitted her mistake. "At that time, I was so angry that I lost my head. What I want is for him to be the best husband in the world. You and Daddy are the same. You're the best brother and father in the world. Both of you are unique. Brother, don't blindly compare. It's not the same." Not far away, Mr. Su, who was silently accompanying his wife to arrange flowers, was actually listening to their conversation. When he heard this, although his expression improved a lot, he still let out a cold snort arrogantly. Cheng Xiuqin, who was sitting opposite him, frowned and said as if he sensed something, "Why do these words sound so familiar?" Su Yuxuan did not hear her words. He also snorted and said reluctantly, "That's more like it." Su Yin breathed a sigh of relief and quickly changed the topic. "By the way, the food that I asked people to send you, are you used to it?" Chapter 495. As expected, Su Yuxuan's attention was diverted. "It's not bad. Mom likes the dumplings, Dad likes the egg pancakes, and I like the steamed buns. Su Yin, you have such different tastes. You didn't quarrel, did you?" "We didn't quarrel. We just said a few words calmly, and then Dad was asked to sleep in the study by Mom." Dad was asked to sleep in the study. How could that be calmed? It seemed that she had to do some research before sending them food next time. Otherwise, every time she sent them food, there would be a revolution in the family. In the end, the unlucky ones would be her brother and father. Su Yuxuan and Su Yuxuan, who lived at the bottom of the food chain. After sending her brother away, Su Yin staggered back home. As soon as she entered the door, she met Hua Chenhuan. Hua Chenhuan looked at her tired face and felt sorry for her. "Tired? Is it because of what happened this morning?" Su Yin walked up to him and plunged into his arms. She whined, "My brother called me just now." Hua Chenhuan pondered and immediately understood. "Because of what happened this morning?" "Yes." Su Yin looked up at him. "I was under a lot of pressure to confess to you for Curtain Group." So, Su Yin pouted. "I want a reward." The corners of Hua Chenhuan's lips curled up slightly as he lowered his head to kiss her. Su Yin's eyebrows were curved. She felt sweet, but a little lost. Hua Chenhuan also saw this and muttered in a hoarse voice, "Wait a few more minutes." "What?" Su Yin didn't hear clearly and turned to look at him in confusion. "Nothing." Su Yin blinked and didn't think much. She got up and went to cook dinner for Hua Chenhuan. On the 1st of the next month, Fantasy Feast was released on time. The night before, the company's public account had already put up the purchase link. Su Yin initially thought that games were not a necessity in life. Moreover, as the world's first holographic game, their gaming chambers and gaming helmets were not cheap. She was afraid that it would take some time to warm up before it could explode. She didn't expect that she had underestimated the enthusiasm of gamers for the game. That night, the number of purchases of the two items reached an eye-catching peak. When a second game was officially released, the number of players who logged in to the holographic world exceeded 7 digits in a few minutes. After an hour, it quickly reached 8 digits and continued to soar at an extremely fast speed. Those who were not part of the industry who wanted to see this game make a fool of itself were a little confused. When they came back to their senses, they said that these people were really stupid and had a lot of money. They didn't even know if it was fake news deliberately made up by the merchants to increase sales. They deserved to be cheated. However, half an hour after the game was officially released, no one on the internet responded or even agreed with them. This made these people feel more and more certain that they were right. If it was true, how could these people hold back for so long and not share it with them? After another half an hour, there were still no players to share their anger and grievances of being cheated by the game company. These passers-by who were waiting for the news finally felt that something was amiss. The previous few game merchants who used holographic as a gimmick were scolded on the public platform in less than half an hour, let alone for a moment. What was going on with the game? It had been so long, but there was no news at all. Chapter 496. Fortunately, they didn't have to wonder for long before the first batch of players finally appeared. Whoa, what kind of game is this? The graphics are exquisite, the characters are exquisitely restored, and the most important thing is that there are so many people online at the same time, but the graphics don't fluctuate at all. No, I'm going home with my gaming capsule. See you guys later. Originally, I just wanted to try it out, but I didn't expect it to be real. To be able to play a holographic game in my lifetime, my life is worth it. In addition, the last wave of hatred, I only spent half the price to get the gaming capsule. Great. Upstairs, you're one of the 1,500 spots like my cousin, right? Damn, I just received a call from my cousin. He blatantly showed off to me that he was the lucky one in his life. Not only did he fail the test, he even got to buy a gaming capsule at half the price. I just checked the official website. The gaming capsules and gaming helmets are all sold out. We have to wait for at least another half a month for the next batch. Oh, I participated in the lucky draw because of our goddess Vivian's endorsement. Now I realize that the best thing I've done in my life is to become a fan of Vivian. Chasing after her makes me the lucky one. Fantasy Feast is so good. The 1,500 spots that they were talking about was another announcement made before the official account of Fantasy Feast opened. This announcement said that 1,500 lucky audience members would be randomly selected from the comments to experience the holographic world for 1 hour. After the experience, if these lucky audience members had the relevant intention to purchase, they could choose one of the gaming capsules and gaming helmets with a 50% discount. When this benefit was released, it attracted a large wave of ghostwriters from other game companies. They accused them of being stingy and not generous at all. Not only did they give 1,500 spots, but they also gave a 50% discount for 1 hour of experience. Regarding this, the official lady was also very firm. She directly replied to the comment that scolded them for being poor. She admitted that their company was indeed quite poor. They'd spent all their money on game development and really did not have any extra food. Since everyone was so generous, why not take out some money to reward their employees who had worked so hard for the company? How could they be so self-righteous when they were free? Shameless people were invincible. This one sentence made the ghostwriters speechless. It also made Shwek Highway and Luo Weebing's fans like this official sister who was used to speaking the truth. Due to their support for their idols, most of the fans of the two artists participated in the lucky draw. As a result, more than half of the 1,500 slots were fans of the two artists. It could be said that the goodies were kept within the family. Those passers-by who were still watching at the beginning were stunned when they saw the replies. They finally reacted after a while and asked with uncertainty. So it's real? It's a holographic game? A while ago, everyone was guessing that those who bought the gaming capsules were fools with a lot of money. After realizing that they were cheated by the game manufacturer again, they shut themselves up. Now that I think about it, I'm really King stupid. If they were cheated, how could they be so quiet? They must be lying in the gaming chamber and playing games, unwilling to come out. This comment almost hit the bullseye, waking everyone up from their delusions of self-deception. How of them. Indeed, the onlooker sees more clearly than the person involved. These people were clearly having too much fun in the game to think about home. Chapter 497. Only those who had been selected for the early stage of the game were allowed to experience the game for free for 1 hour. When the time was up, they would naturally have to come out. That was why they came out in advance to take a breather. Now, they were all holding their half-price game capsules and going home in high spirits. It was simply enviable. Holographic games are really coming out? I can't believe I'm seeing a holographic game in my lifetime. I'll buy it. After confirming the authenticity of the news, a large wave of game fans rushed to the official website to buy the game capsules. However, these people soon realized that they were too real. The developers of Illusory Feast accurately explained, "Yesterday, you ignored me. Today, I'll make you unworthy of me." The first batch of game capsules and helmets had already been sold out before these people could react. "You want one? Sure, you can only get it after half a month, and the quantity is limited." Half a month was not long, but it was not short either. However, for these hardcore game fans who knew that the holographic game was right in front of them and that others were playing it, but they had to wait half a month before they could enter and play with them, it was longer than a lifetime. Countless people rushed to the official account and begged, hoping to shorten the pre-sale time and release the second batch as soon as possible. In response, the official sister proudly said that the quality of their company's products had been strictly tested, so it would naturally take a long time for them to leave the factory. They asked the players to wait patiently. No matter how others begged, they only said one sentence. They would not change their plans for these customers who didn't believe in them before. They would not let their programmers work overtime. That was how willful they were. The pitiful customers begged bitterly, but to no avail. They were so regretful that their intestines turned green. They regretted that they had listened to the instigation of those who were anxious to stir up trouble and only watched from the sidelines. Now that they had finished watching and the game was sold out, where are they going to go to buy more? In the end, they could only helplessly set their sights on those who had already bought them and began to beg those who had bought more to resell them for a second time at a high price. However, in a situation where they were not sure if it was reliable, very few people would buy a lot of these things at once. Most of the people who would buy one or two extra sets were the fans of the two endorsers. They were worried that if their idol or goddess endorsed a game for the first time, the sales would be too bad and they would be ridiculed by the anti-fans. Therefore, they tightened their belts and bought a few extra sets. Now, there were more and more posts on the forum asking for exclusive rights, and the price was getting higher and higher. If these people casually sold one, not only would they not have to tighten their belts to support their idols, but they could also make a fortune from this. Sui Yin looked at the increasing number of subscriptions on the official website and the real-time number of online users that Gu Xiaoyang had specially sent to He Chenhuan. Even if the money hadn't entered her pocket yet, she could imagine how many zeros there would be behind the number. One had to know that it wasn't just the problem of the game cabin and the game helmet. In this game, although some of the clothes, seeds, and furniture had to be obtained by completing missions, most of them had to be bought with money. In the previous non-holographic games, so many people had spent a lot of money to buy good clothes for their sons and daughters. Now that they were in a place with beautiful mountains and clear waters, they had their own home, and there were so many beautiful clothes that couldn't be seen in real life. Naturally, they would buy. Chapter 498. Sui Yin was happy that the game was so popular, but at the same time, she was a little worried. This gaming chamber is selling so well. Will someone pirate it? No, they won't. Sui Yin looked at him doubtfully, not quite understanding why he was so sure. He Chenhuan smiled slowly and pointed to the manual that came with the gaming chamber and gaming helmet. There was an additional clause at the bottom of each manual. This product has a copyright protection system. The buyer of the product is not allowed to maliciously destroy the product or do research on a related program. Otherwise, the product will enter automatic locking mode or even self-destruct. If this clause is not followed, the buyer will be responsible for all the consequences. This clause, in a way, was a blatant warning to the buyer not to disassemble the gaming chamber for research. Otherwise, the consequences would be at their own risk. It sounded a little overbearing and even violated the consumer's rights. After all, the buyer had spent the money to buy the item, and they could disassemble it however they wanted. However, many people forgot that they were only selling the gaming chamber to them to let them experience holographic games, and not to sell the technology of the gaming chamber to them. As a player, why didn't you protect your gaming chamber and use it to happily play your games, buy your clothes, and build your house? Why did you disassemble it? Wasn't it just to plagiarize the technology inside? If someone really used this to cause trouble with them, they would have bad intentions. Therefore, for those individuals who bought the gaming chamber on the spot, Most of the salespeople had warned them in advance. The sales page on the official website also highlighted this clause. Most people still bought it without hesitation. As for those who were hesitant, they actually didn't need 1 or 2 orders from them. After Su Yiyin saw this clause, the first thing that came to her mind was, is this the same as Yuan's anti-theft system? Yes. No wonder. Su Yiyin breathed a sigh of relief and looked at the skyrocketing figures in the background like a little money grubber. She smiled and said, "Then I'm relieved." Hua Chenhuan was amused by her. "You're happy with this little bit of money? There will be more and more in the future." Speaking of which, the gaming chamber was not the main source of income. The real source of income was the various in-game purchases. This game was like a hen that could lay eggs. There was no need to worry that it would not be able to lay more and more golden eggs within a year or two. Su Yiyin's face lit up with joy, but she seemed to have thought of something and frowned. "What happened? That's a lot of money, but it might not be enough." "Not enough? Didn't you say you want to take back the Hua Corporation?" It was the Hua Corporation after all. A starving camel was still bigger than a horse. If they really wanted to forcefully take it back, they would need a lot of money. A smile flashed across Hua Chenhuan's eyes. "There's no need for such trouble." Hua Chenhuan didn't answer the question directly. Instead, she said something else. "This Friday is the 40th anniversary of the founding of the Hua Corporation. Come with me." "I'm going too." Su Yiyin looked surprised. "Yes, I transferred half of the Hua Corporation's shares to you before. You're now a shareholder of the Hua Corporation. Naturally, you can go." Su Yiyin was stunned. Only then did she remember that there was indeed such a thing. Friday morning or afternoon? Afternoon. "Okay then. Come to the store to pick me up then." Hua Chenhuan's eyes flashed slightly. She replied in a low voice, "Okay." Chapter 499. During the Hua Corporation's 40th anniversary celebration, Su Yiyin gave the employees of the medicinal cuisine restaurant a day off. She went to work in Dongqing City early in the morning and prepared to leave after lunch. The anniversary celebration started at 2:30 p.m. It would take some time to get to the Hua Corporation from Dongqing City, so it would be just in time after lunch. However, to Su Yiyin's surprise, the person who came pick her up was not Hua Chenhuan, but Gu Xiaoyang. "Where is Chenhuan?" Gu Xiaoyang turned his head and glanced at her with a smile on his face. "Young master happened to have a visitor before he went out, so he might be late. He asked me to pick you up first and meet you at the venue later." "Guest? What guest?" It was a sensitive day, so Su Yiyin's heart skipped a beat when she heard that there was a guest at home. Why did he have to come to her house today? Was he trying to stall for time? "It's an old friend of old master's. He watched young master grow up. He might be attending with young master later. You just have to wait patiently for young master to come to you. Don't worry." "Oh." Su Yiyin frowned. Although it was a little strange, she did not ask further. She nodded and accepted his explanation. Since she left early, Su Yiyin arrived about 10 minutes before the ceremony started. However, most of the internal employees of the Hua Corporation had already arrived and were waiting for the senior executives and business partners. Su Yiyin had just gotten out of the car when she was keenly aware of the gazes that were directed at her from all directions. Strictly speaking, although she was not a real senior executive of the Hua Corporation, she had appeared in the entertainment circle a few times because of several artistes in the company. She was even more famous than the average second-tier or third-tier artistes. Many people in the Hua Corporation were surprised by her appearance. "Isn't that President Su from Dongqing City? Why is she here?" Only a few important business partners of the company were invited to today's celebration, right? Does our company have any major cooperation with Dongqing City? What cooperation? Have you forgotten who she is? She is now President Hua's sister-in-law and the aunt of team leader Hua. Isn't it normal for her to attend the Hua Corporation's anniversary celebration? I heard that President Hua also has a seat on the company's board of directors, but he has never attended the company's anniversary celebration or the shareholders' meeting. I don't know if he will attend today, or if President Su will attend in his place. Never attended? I heard that President Hua is crippled. Is that true? Have any of you seen him before? No. I've been in the company for a few years, but I've never seen President Hua. It said that he rarely goes out after his legs were crippled in an accident. He hasn't come to our company even once. If that's true, then his legs, a group of people gathered together and whispered to each other. They were discussing why Su Yiyin was here and whether or not Hua Chenhuan would appear in a while. Although Su Yiyin couldn't hear what they were talking about, she knew what they were curious about and didn't pay much attention to it. Although she didn't know why Hua Chenhuan had called her here, she could imagine what kind of chaos it would cause if Hua Chenhuan, who hadn't stepped foot in the whole corporation for so many years and had never interfered with any of the company's decisions, appeared here today. Su Yiyin looked at the time. There are less than 5 minutes left before the Hua Corporation's senior executives began to arrive. She didn't know if Hua Chenhuan could make it in time. Why are you here? Chapter 500. Su Yiyin was contemplating whether she should wait at the gate or go in and take a seat when she heard a familiar, exasperated voice. She turned around and saw Hua Xiaofeng and his family coming out of the car. Hua Qihan walked in front, and Mrs. Hua supported Hua Xiaofeng as they walked behind. Hua Xiaofeng's hand was still in a cast. Why can't a shareholder who owns the company's shares come to the company's anniversary celebration? Su Yiyin glanced at the cast on Hua Xiaofeng's hand and chuckled. Some people have been jointly kicked out by the board of directors. How can they still have the nerve to show up here? Aren't they afraid of being laughed at? Su Yiyin would have been fine if she hadn't said that, but Hua Xiaofeng exploded on the spot. How did you know about this? Did you and Hua Chenhuan set this up? Did you and Hua Chenhuan deliberately set me up? As soon as Hua Xiaofeng said this, Hua Qihan and Hua Furio's expressions changed. They looked at Su Yiyin with more curiosity. Ha 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 ha. You think too highly of yourself, don't you? Haven't you heard that good news never leaves the house, but bad news spreads far and wide? The heir of a big company was jointly kicked out of his own company by the board of directors. Do you really think you can hide such a rare piece of news? You've already lost your face everywhere. You. Su Yiyin looked at Hua Xiaofeng's finger pointing at her, and her expression darkened. Also, is Chenhuan for you call? How can you call your uncle by his name in such a nasty tone? Is this your family's upbringing? I've really learned it again. Hua Xiaofeng's face turned red after being rebuked by her. He was about to get angry when Hua Qihan interrupted him impatiently. Enough. Don't you think it's embarrassing enough? Dad. Hua Xiaofeng looked at Hua Qihan in disbelief. He didn't expect his father, who had always been obedient to him, to become like this. Not only did she not help him, she even thought that he was an embarrassment. Ha Fureo's face turned even paler, and he subconsciously tightened his grip on his son. During this period of time, she had seen Hua Qihan's attitude towards the mother and son. Because of this, there was an indescribable fear in her heart. The once loving father, filial son, and harmonious husband and wife seemed to be collapsing bit by bit. As for her, there was nothing she could do. This was all because of the woman in front of him. If she hadn't made things so ugly with his family back then, if she hadn't married Hua Chenhuan back then, Su Yiyin didn't know that she had been implicated because of someone's selfish thinking. She was a little surprised when she heard Hua Qihan berate Hua Xiaofeng. One had to know that Hua Qihan was quite indulgent towards his only son. Otherwise, he would not have developed such a self-righteous and ruthless character. Now, did this mean that the father and son had a falling out? Hua Qihan glanced coldly at Hua Xiaofeng, and his heart was full of anger. He didn't want to bring Hua Xiaofeng over. The incident of him being kicked out was still a thorn in his heart. It was fine if Hua Xiaofeng didn't come along, but if he did, he would be ridiculed again. However, this mother and son pair didn't know any better. They cried and made a scene when he didn't bring them over. They were just short of hanging themselves. The doctors and nurses in the hospital rushed over to watch them and warned them to behave. Hua Qihan saw that if they continued to make a scene, they might be photographed and posted online. At that time, he would become a laughingstock again. He had no choice but to bring them over. Chapter 501. On the way here, Huichihan had repeatedly reminded the two of them to behave themselves today and not cause any more trouble for him. Otherwise, they shouldn't blame him for being rude to them. In the end, Hua Xiaofeng agreed verbally, but as soon as he got out of the car, he revealed his true colors. After being insulted by Su Yiyin, he couldn't wait to fight with him on the spot. Huichihan was so angry that his heart ached, and he increasingly despised this son of his. However, he wasn't in the mood to settle accounts with him. Instead, he was more concerned about, "Ahem, isn't this my sister-in-law? Why are you here? Did Chenhuan ask you to represent him?" Could it be that she had designs on the Hua Corporation after seeing that Hua Xiaofeng had been kicked out of it? Su Yiyin saw the flash of fear in Huichihan's eyes. She raised her eyebrows slightly and said with a chuckle, "Before we got married, Chenhuan transferred 10% of the Hua Corporation's shares to me as a betrothal gift. I'm now considered one of the shareholders of the company. It's such a big event at the 40th anniversary. It would be rude if I didn't come and take a look, right?" As soon as Su Yiyin said this, several people couldn't help but gasp. When Su Yiyin had mocked Hua Xiaofeng just now, they had focused on the second half of her sentence. Only now did they recall that the first half of her sentence was that she had real shares in the company. How is it possible? How could... Mrs. Hua's face was pale as she looked at Su Yiyin in disbelief. "How is it impossible? My husband loves me and is willing to share everything with me so that I can be safe and blessed." Su Yiyin glanced at Huichihan and said meaningfully, "Just because some people can't do it doesn't mean that others can't." The faces of several people immediately became even uglier, especially Hua Xiaofeng. He was originally the most legitimate heir of the Hua Corporation. In his opinion, everything that Huichihan owned would be his sooner or later. But now, he had been chased out of the Hua Corporation. He didn't even have a single share of the Hua Corporation. He wasn't even worth as much as a woman he had once abandoned. However, Huichihan thought more. He felt that the reason why Hua Chenhuan gave the company's shares to Su Yiyin was not as simple as liking this woman. Could it be that when he saw that Hua Xiaofeng had been kicked out and that he himself was a cripple, no one would support him even if he entered the company? So he arranged for this woman to enter the company first and help him keep an eye on the company's every move so that he could make a follow-up plan? Or did they deliberately send this woman into the company to disgust him and cause trouble for him? At the thought of this, Hua Chenhuan could not help but show a look of contempt in his eyes. Letting a woman find trouble with him. This Hua Chenhuan's legs were indeed crippled, and her brain was deteriorating year by year. Everyone knows that Chenhuan dotes on you. It's not strange that he would give you the company's shares. After all, the shares were useless in his hands. With his current body, it's better for him to recuperate more. Although he did not say the word crippled, every word and sentence was a reminder to Su Yiyin that even if Hua Chenhuan held a part of the company's shares, she was just a transparent person with no real power here. The smile on Su Yiyin's face disappeared completely because of Hua Qihan's words. She narrowed her eyes and was about to say something when there was a loud noise outside. Hua Qihan was also stunned. He frowned and said unhappily, "Why is it so noisy? What happened?" As soon as he finished speaking, he heard another round of exclamations. Hua Qihan turned around with a cold face, but when he saw the figure walking in from outside, his eyes widened. He was shocked and terrified, and his face was full of disbelief. Chapter 502. Su Yiyin had imagined countless times what it would be like to meet Hua Chenhuan when he was standing. However, she had never imagined that it would be at such a time and place. The man who was walking slowly towards her was wearing a familiar black suit. He was tall and handsome, and his long, straight legs made people's eyes light up. However, the most eye-catching thing was the large bouquet of blue roses in his arms. Perhaps they had not expected someone to run in with a large bouquet of flowers at this time, or perhaps they had been shocked by the super handsome man who had suddenly run in. After a long while, someone broke the silence and whispered, "President Hua, it's President Hua." President Hua? Some of the new employees who had joined the company late and did not pay much attention to Su Yiyin glanced in Hua Xiaofeng's direction in confusion. They thought that they were talking about Hua Xiaofeng. When the others saw this, they explained in low voices, "It's not this President Hua. It's the former President Hua. President Hua's younger brother, President Hua's son, and President Su's husband." Everyone suddenly understood. "You mean this man is the rumored President Hua? Isn't President Hua's legs crippled? How? How else could it be? He's cured." President Su said in front of the media that President Hua's legs would recover soon, but many people still doubted her. "I didn't expect it to be true. Let's see who dares to use this to attack the two of them. Mama, my fans have made a perfect couple." Su Yiyin did not know that the people around them were excited that the gossip had come true. She stared at the person in front of her without blinking, as if she wanted to firmly engrave him in her heart. "How did you?" Hua Chenwan did not let her finish. He smiled and stuffed the large bouquet of roses into Su Yiyin's arms. "This is for you." Su Yiyin instinctively hugged it and said in a daze, "These flowers are from our courtyard." Hua Chenwan couldn't help laughing. "Yes, after you went to work this morning, I picked them one by one." Upon hearing this, Su Yiyin blushed slightly. She thought of how Hua Chenwan had woken up early this morning to pick and wrap flowers. She carefully removed the thorns on the flowers one by one. Her heart was as sweet as honey. "Do you like it?" Su Yiyin nodded, and Hua Chenwan took her into his arms. "Yin Yin, I've been waiting for this for a long time." The man's voice was low and magnetic, with a hint of laziness and satisfaction. Su Yiyin felt a lump in his throat. He said in a muffled voice, "I've also been waiting for this for a long time." Then, he seemed to have thought of something and snorted in dissatisfaction. "What's wrong? Who made you unhappy?" Hua Chenwan said this, but his eyes swept across Hua Chihan's family not far away. He was inexplicably cold. Su Yiyin was not unhappy. She was just a little shocked and had not recovered for a while. In addition, there was a subtle sense of loss. "I thought I would be the first person to see you stand up. I didn't expect that I would not be." When they were driving, Su Yiyin felt that Gu Xiaoyang was in a good mood today. She thought that the reason why he was in such a good mood was because Hua Chenwan had decided to attend the so-called 40th anniversary celebration today. Now that she thought about it, it was more likely that he had already known that Hua Chenwan's leg had recovered at that time. That was why he was so happy. She was the one who had helped treat it. In the end, everyone else knew, but she was the last to know. Sigh, she was so angry. She needed hugs and kisses from her husband. Chapter 503. Hua Chenwan saw through Su Yiyin's thoughts at a glance. He leaned over and kissed her on the cheek, coaxing her in a low voice. "It's my fault. I wanted to give you a surprise, but I didn't expect to make you unhappy." Su Yiyin was kissed by him in front of so many people, and her face turned red. She was shy and a little proud. "Don't do it again." "Okay." "Impossible. This is impossible. How could it?" Hua Xiaofeng's face was deathly pale, and his eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. His face was trembling as he spoke, as if he had seen something terrifying. "Why is it impossible? Nephew, your uncle's leg is healed. Aren't you happy for him?" Su Yiyin broke free from Hua Chenwan's arms and glanced at him with a sneer. Then she looked at Hua Chihan and his wife with a wicked smile and asked, "Brother, sister-in-law, Chenwan's leg is healed. Aren't you happy for him?" Hua Chihan's expression froze. Just as he was about to say something, he heard a hearty laugh behind him. "I'm happy." If old Hua knew that his son had finally recovered after so many years and had a happy family of his own, he would be happier than anyone else. Hua Chihan turned his head and looked. After seeing the person who spoke, his face became more and more ugly. "Uncle Jiang." The person who could be called uncle by Hua Chihan was naturally not old. This old Master Jiang was from the same generation as old Master Hua. He could be considered a veteran who had helped old Master Hua take down the Hua Corporation back then. After old Master Hua's death, he retired to the second line like several other old directors. Unless it was an important matter, he rarely asked about the Hua Corporation. Why are you here? How can I not come to such a big event as the company's 40th anniversary?" Old Master Jiang glanced at Hua Chenhuan with a smile and said meaningfully, "And if I didn't come, I'm afraid I wouldn't have seen such a rare miracle." Hua Qihan's face darkened again when he heard his words, and his hands that were hanging by his side subconsciously tightened. Mrs. Hua could tell something was wrong from the direction they came from and the timing. She asked tentatively, "Did you come here with Uncle?" Old Master Jiang smiled, but didn't say anything. The couple had already guessed the answer, and their faces became more and more unsightly. This old man had always been neutral. Now that he said something like this, it was clear that he was already on Hua Chenhuan's side. Over the years, the relationship between the factions and the board of directors had been relatively tense. If these neutral factions were to join in at this time, the future situation would be even more complicated. Originally, Hua Qihan's dignity had been swept to the ground because of Hua Xiaofeng's incident. Those who supported him had also started to become impetuous. Now, Hua Chenhuan had appeared at this time, and in such a way, Hua Qihan's heart was filled with hatred, but he had to show a happy smile on his face. "When did Chenhuan get better? Why didn't you inform us beforehand? Could it be that the whole family has really become estranged because of sister-in-law and Xiaofeng?" When Su Yiyin heard his words, she instinctively felt nauseous. "Xian, why should I tell you? So that you can find ways to disgust us and interfere with Chenhuan's recovery? Huh? Big brother, you don't know? A few days ago, those gossipy B** stars spread the news that I cheated so much that I had no choice but to stand up and explain myself." Chapter 504. At that time, I knew that Chenhuan's leg would recover soon. I thought big brother and sister-in-law knew about this, but I didn't expect. Su Yiyin looked innocent. With a few words, she instantly kicked the ball back to Hua Qihan and his wife. "You think we don't care about our brotherhood because of some things, but we think you don't care enough about Chenhuan's physical condition. Now you're paying a New Year's greeting to a weasel. Do you really think no one can tell what you're thinking?" Hua Qihan's face twitched a few times because of Su Yiyin's words. Of course, he knew about this, but at that time, like Hua Xiaofeng, he thought that Su Yiyin had deliberately said it because she wanted to save face. Who would have thought that it was true? Hua Chenhuan was too lazy to put on a show of brotherly affection with the father and son. He directly ignored the family and introduced the old man who had spoken up for them to Su Yiyin. "Let me introduce you. This is Uncle Jiang, my father's good friend when he was alive. Uncle Jiang, this is my wife, Su Yiyin." "Hello, Sister Su." Old Master Jiang took the initiative to reach out and shake Su Yiyin's hand. "I've always been curious about what kind of girl can make Chenhuan so infatuated with her. Unfortunately, he has always been possessive. The more he likes someone or something, the more he doesn't like to show it to others. This is the first time I've met you so closely. You're indeed a gentle and sensible girl." "Possessive?" Su Yiyin blinked. It didn't seem to be as exaggerated as he was, right? At least Hua Chenhuan didn't restrain her, prevent her from showing her face outside, and didn't interfere with her making friends. Yu Zian, who had the right to speak about this, was speechless. "Young madam, you don't know about the countless male compatriots in your live broadcast room who were excluded from the lucky draw." Su Yiyin didn't know if it was an illusion, but after the two of them exchanged a few words, she felt that old Master Jiang seemed to be particularly warm to her. "What's wrong with old Master Jiang? It's obviously the first time we've met. From his words, I thought he was an old acquaintance. She's too familiar with you. Is it because she sees that you've recovered, so?" Hua Chenhuan looked at her deeply and smiled. "I'll tell you about this when we get back. Let's go in first." Yes. After the initial shock, many people began to react one after another. The number of people who were paying attention to Su Yiyin had also increased, especially those shareholders. Hua Xiaofeng saw that he had no chance. Hua Qihan's own ability was limited, and he did not have any other sons. Before Hua Chenhuan's appearance, the people in the company had already been shaken. Now that she had appeared, and in such a perfect state, many people could not help but think more about it. Hua Qihan was keenly aware of the undercurrent in the crowd, and a haze quickly flashed across his eyes. Hua Xiaofeng was so angry that his nose was about to become crooked. Previously, he had used Hua Chanhuan's disability to ridicule Su Yiyan, and he was sure that she would regret it one day. But now, Hua Chanhuan was getting better and better. Even his legs, which had long been sentenced to death, had been cured. Not only was his hand disabled, but there were also some unspeakable problems in that part of his body. Looking at the couple sitting sweetly together not far away, Hua Xiaofeng was more and more certain that Hua Chenhuan definitely had something to do with his hands becoming like this. These two people, one had ruined the happiness of the rest of his life, and the other had ruined his life and made him disabled. He would never let them off so easily. Never. Chapter 505. Although Su Yiyan and Hua Xiaoheng did not work in the Hua Corporation, they attended the celebration as shareholders. The staff who arranged the venue did not dare to offend them, so they arranged for them to sit in the VIP area in the front row, which happened to be on the left and right of Hua Xiaofeng's family, so they were as far away from them as possible. Su Yiyan was very satisfied with this. Although their main purpose of coming here today was to annoy this family, she was not in the mood to pay attention to them at the moment. She did not want them to be an eyesore in front of her. When did you recover? I've been slowly recovering, but it was only this week that I could walk freely like I do today. Su Yiyan was silent for a moment and asked in a low voice, Has Uncle Zhang been accompanying you during your rehabilitation, or have Xiaoyang and the others been with you? No, it's just Uncle Zhang. Su Yiyan turned to look at Hua Chenhuan for a long time and quickly understood Hua Chenhuan's concerns. In his eyes, Uncle Zhang was an elder who had watched him grow up and had never abandoned him even when he was in adversity. He had been involved in the ups and downs of his life and had let him see his most vulnerable side. Hua Chenhuan's psychological burden was lighter. Although Gu Xiaoyang and the others were close to him, they were still his peers and could be considered his subordinates. In front of them, he still needed to save some face. Hua Chenhuan seemed to see Su Yiyan's heartache. He smiled slightly and moved closer to Su Yiyan's ear and asked in a hoarse voice, Was I handsome just now? Su Yiyan was slightly stunned. She blushed and said truthfully, Yes. Then my efforts during this period have been worth it. Oh, you. Su Yiyan could not do anything about him. She reached out and shook his hand. I still say the same thing. Don't do it again. If you have any difficulties in the future, you must tell me. Don't hide it from me. Don't be afraid of embarrassing yourself, and don't worry about changing my impression of you because of this. In my heart, you will always be the most handsome and reliable. No matter how big the difficulty is, we can bear it together and think of a solution together. Just like how you want me to think of you first when I'm in trouble, I also want you to think of me first when you're in a difficult position. I don't want to be excluded by you. Hua Chenhuan looked at the rings on their hands, and her eyes flashed. She replied unconditionally, Okay. Their actions, which they thought were secretive, were naturally seen by many people present, especially Hua Qihan's family. Looking at the two of them sitting in the corner and whispering intimately, the sweetness and happiness between their brows almost nibbled away all of their rationality. At this time, a few girls sitting at the back took out their phones and secretly took videos and photos of Hua Chenhuan and Zhang Ziyan. While they were taking photos, they couldn't help but discuss. Sob, 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 they're so sweet. They sat together and whispered to each other. The wind was a little strong just now, and a strand of President Su's hair floated to the front. President Hua immediately pushed it back. That action, that gaze, it's so gentle that it could kill. What's wrong with that? You didn't see their hands. They almost never separated from each other since they entered the venue. Before, they were just holding hands, but now their fingers are tightly intertwined. Sob, 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 what kind of love is this? It's too sweet. When I saw the photo on the internet before, although I thought the two of them looked quite harmonious, I didn't think they were that sweet. I didn't expect them to be so sweet in reality. It made me want to fall into their trap. The fire in Hua Xiaofeng's heart burned as if a large pot of oil had been poured on his head. He turned his head and glared at the girls with resentment. Chapter 506. The few of them were shocked and put down their phones timidly. However, they also felt a little dissatisfied with Hua Xiaofeng. Was that leader Hua? That scumbag ex-fiancé of Sister Su? Why is he glaring at us? We didn't do anything to him. What else can he do? He's just venting his anger on us. I heard that leader Hua has a bad temper. When he first joined the company, he was so arrogant. He would scold his subordinates whenever he was unhappy. I have a friend who was in his team. Just because she forgot to mark the page number on her work report, he scolded her in front of so many people until she cried. How ungentlemanly. Speaking of which, I suddenly remembered that a few days ago, a friend of mine and I saw that mistress hugging another man in a restaurant. They looked very intimate. Mistress? Which mistress? The mistress that leader Hua found. Who else could it be? Are you saying that mistress found another man behind leader Hua's back and cheated on him? That can't be. Who knows? But it's not impossible. What's the mistress after? Isn't it money? Leader Hua used to be the legitimate young master of the family Hua and the heir of the Hua Corporation. Now that he's been kicked out of the Hua Corporation and can't even protect himself, of course mistress would find another family. No wonder she was so angry. She must have been dumped by mistress. Plus, she saw how loving President Hua and President Su are, so she was jealous. She deserves it. Scumbags are all bad. Hua Xiaofeng didn't know that because of his glare, the female employees in the company had a bad impression of him. They even thought that he had been cheated on by Wen Jinping and that he deserved it. What was the most attractive event of a company's anniversary celebration? Of course, it was a lucky draw. After all, it was a big event for the 40th anniversary. The whole corporation had put in a lot of money this time. The lucky draw prizes range from luxurious houses and cars to simple daily necessities. Su Yiyin and Hua Chenhuan were just bystanders. Logically speaking, they didn't need to get involved in this kind of thing. However, perhaps it was because Hua Chenhuan's leg had recovered, or perhaps it was because old Master Jiang had clearly shown that he wanted to be on good terms with Hua Chenhuan. In order to please the couple, his subordinates even specially came over to ask if they wanted to go up on stage to draw a prize for the festive occasion. When Su Yiyin heard this, her interest was immediately piqued. She turned to look at Hua Chenhuan. Do you want to go up? Let's go together? Hua Chenhuan saw that she was full of enthusiasm, and the corners of her mouth curled up. She reached out and took the flowers in Su Yiyin's arms. She smiled and said, "You go. I'll help you hold the flowers. Oh, do you have any prizes that you like? I'll go and get them for you." Hua Chenhuan looked at the confident expression on her face that said, "As long as you say the word, I will definitely get them for you." She instinctively glanced at the lucky draw prizes placed on the side. She directly skimmed past the tempting luxurious houses and cars and fixed her gaze on a pair of couples' cups. This pair of couples' cups each had a light pink pig printed on it. The style was very proper, and there was nothing special about it. However, Hua Chenhuan still looked at it. Su Yiyin followed his gaze and saw the two cups. Her eyes flickered slightly, and she quickly understood what he was thinking. She smiled and said, "Those two cups, right? Wait a minute, I'll go up and get them back." Okay. The staff members waiting at the side were speechless. What was there to draw from those two lousy cups? No one could see through Rich Rao's thoughts. Chapter 507. Su Yiyin went up the stage with a smile on her face under the surprised and curious gazes of the crowd. She looked calm and confident, but in fact she was crazily calling for her cheat in her mind. System, come out and help me. Under Su Yiyin's desperate calls, the pitiful system lagged for a few seconds before slowly coming online. What help? Give me a cheat and let me win those two couple cups. The system was speechless. You call me out in such a hurry just to let me help you cheat and win a couple cup? Do you think that stupid thing is worthy of my status? Don't think that just because you're rich, you don't care about mansions and luxurious cars. Su Yiyin saw that the system did not respond and thought that it did not have such a skill. She said regretfully, "Can I?" She thought that this thing was a high-end skill. If it was something else, it could at least be used as a cheat for the lottery. She did not expect it to be so useless. The system was speechless. Don't you know that I can hear your inner thoughts? You're so blatantly looking down on me. Aren't you afraid that I'll find an opportunity to make you wear your shoes? Although it was complaining, the system still showed its reliable professional ethics at the crucial moment. Yes, spend 1,000 favorability points to exchange for a good luck halo. The more luck you want, the more favorability points you need to spend. 1,000 favorability points was not high for Su Yiyin now. However, in the beginning, other than Hua Chenhuan and those close to her, everyone else's favorability points increased bit by bit. 1,000 favorability points meant 1,000 people. It was not cheap, especially when the things she wanted were not high in value. If she wanted to win a house or a car, she would need to spend at least a few million favorability points. Okay, exchange, quickly give me another one. Su Yin's eyes shone as she exchanged for a good luck halo. Then, she pressed the button for the lottery with anticipation. The screen spun a few times before a line of words popped up. Excellence Award, Couple Cup. The crowd below couldn't help but look regretful when they saw this. Hua Qihan's family even showed contempt. Obviously, they didn't think much of Su Yin's luck. However, to everyone's surprise, Rao Su Yin, who was the victim, showed a happy and satisfied smile and urged the staff to quickly give her the cup. After successfully obtaining the couple's cup, Su Yin immediately ran back to Hua Chenhuan's side and asked happily, "Am I awesome?" Hua Chenhuan took the couple's cup from her and praised sincerely, Yin Yin is the best." The people sitting next to the two of them, "That's enough. Flashing lights are prohibited in public." The celebration lasted for about 2 hours. Su Yin and Hua Chenhuan seemed to have endless things to talk about, so it wasn't boring. The pitiful people sitting near them were almost blinded by the dazzling light. Sometimes, a good relationship didn't need to be blindly spoken. An occasional action, or even a look, could make people feel like they were eating dog food. After one round, the few of them didn't do anything, but they were inexplicably full. The two of them were just here to go through the motions. The show was over, so they should leave. However, it was different from when they first arrived. After 2 hours of settling down, many people had already recovered from the initial surprise. Their thoughts had also spun several times in their minds. One by one, they rushed over to Hua Chenhuan and his wife to get close to them. Chapter 508. Chenhuan is all grown up now. If I hadn't heard old Jiang mention him, I wouldn't have recognized him. But he looks more and more like old Hua. Is this Chenhuan's little wife? Is she the daughter of the Su family? She's so pretty. I can tell that she's a blessing to you. Ha 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 ha. It's been more than 20 years. The little girl I carried back then has also started a family. It's good that you've recovered. Your parents in heaven will definitely be happy for you. Greetings like these were all old acquaintances trying to get close to each other. Su Yin and old Jiang laughed and chatted for a while. Then, they left in a hurry, citing that they had something to do at home. However, what everyone did not notice was that Hua Chenhuan nodded in a certain direction before leaving. She made eye contact with someone for a moment before quickly looking away. After leaving the whole corporation, the two rushed home as fast as they could. Unsurprisingly, they saw an acquaintance at home. "Chenhuan, Miss Su. Uncle Jiang, if you don't mind, just call me Yayan. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting." That's right. The person who appeared at the family Hua was old Master Jiang, whom the two had met not long ago. No, I just arrived." Old Master Jiang took a step forward subconsciously. Then, he seemed to have thought of something, and his expression was a little bitter. "Actually, I came today, I know. Chenhuan told me in the car just now." Old Master Jiang had indeed gone to the celebration with Hua Chenhuan. The guest that Gu Xiaoyang had mentioned to Su Yiyin in the car before was old Master Jiang. However, there was a slight discrepancy. At that time, he did not take the initiative to look for Hua Chenhuan. Instead, it was Hua Chenhuan who invited him over. Old Master Jiang was also a pitiful person. His wife died early, leaving only a young son for him. He worked hard to raise his son alone and never married another woman. However, because he only cared about making money and neglected his son's education, his son did not inherit the same feelings he had for his wife. Instead, He was a playboy who was 100% a rich second generation. His daughter-in-law was a beautiful and virtuous young lady from a rich family. The two of them had known each other since university and married him right after graduation. She had given birth to a daughter and a son for him. However, she did not expect that her husband had already raised a bewitching mistress outside. Under the urging of the mistress, he brought the mistress into the house, angering the legal wife to death. When this scum saw that his wife was angered to death, not only did he not have the slightest bit of remorse, he was very happy to help his mistress and marry her. Old Master John's grandson was young and hot-tempered. He knew that his father had an affair with a mistress, but he still allowed the mistress to anger his mother to death. How could he watch his mother's murderer enter their house and take away his mother's position? He ran over to make a scene with the two of them, but his biological father accidentally pushed him down the stairs. In the end, it was his sister who saved him. However, because of saving him, his sister was permanently disabled and could not walk normally for the rest of her life. In the past few years, I've been thinking that Ruin's current situation might be retribution for choosing to protect himself. Old Master John's eyes were slightly moist. He and Hua Chenwan's father were good brothers who had worked hard together and experienced ups and downs together. However, when their family and their son were at their most difficult time, he chose to protect himself. Although he did not kick him when he was down, he did not help him and acquiesced to Hua Chihan's actions. Chapter 509. Now, his granddaughter had become as disabled as Hua Chenwan. Wasn't this the retribution for his indifference back then? Su Yiyin couldn't help but sigh when she heard his words. So, you want me to see your granddaughter when you see Chenwan standing up again? Hearing her words, Mr. Jiang subconsciously clenched his hands and said nervously, I heard that Chenwan's legs were treated by you. It was me. Then, Su Yiyin waited for a long time, but he didn't continue. She subconsciously glanced at her man. Hua Chenwan sat next to her and took the initiative to explain, it's up to you whether you want to treat him or not. If you want to treat him, then treat him. If you don't want to, then forget it. Su Yiyin was silent for a moment. It doesn't involve interests? It doesn't matter. He would get the Hua Corporation sooner or later. Without Mr. Zhang's support, it would only take a little more time at most. Su Yiyin understood what he meant. Since Hua Chenwan had taken the initiative to ask him to come over, it was obvious that she wanted to win him over. After a long silence, she relented and said, I can take a look at her, but I can't guarantee that I can cure her. Although she is also paralyzed in the lower body, her condition may not be the same as Chenwan's. Different patients have different treatment methods. Before that, I need to see her test report first. If necessary, I have to see her. Of course. Hearing that Su Yiyin was willing, Mr. Jiang was overjoyed. He immediately handed his granddaughter's test report to Su Yiyin. After he left the old family home mansion, he asked someone to rush home to get the report. If it weren't for the fact that his granddaughter couldn't move, he would have taken her with him and let Su Yiyin have a look. Su Yiyin was stunned when she saw that he was so well prepared. She took the report and read it. Her sacral and coccygeal vertebrae are broken, and her nerves are damaged, resulting in paralysis. Su Yiyin frowned. The broken sacrum and coccygeal vertebrae could be healed, and they would not be paralyzed. In essence, it was because of nerve damage, which was similar to Hua Chenwan's condition. It could be seen that the Jiang family had indeed tried their best to save sister's son after that incident. Her sacrum and tailbone had recovered well, but because the damaged nerves could not be recovered, she had been paralyzed. Sister Su, you see, I can give it a try, but I can't guarantee success. Next week, find some time for me to take a look at him. As for how to treat him, we'll discuss it then. Okay. You can contact me whenever you're free next week. For the sake of his granddaughter, old Master Jiang could be considered to be shameless. He even unconsciously addressed Su Yiyin respectfully. After exchanging a few more words, old man Jiang couldn't wait to run home. When he left, there was still a smile of hope on his face. Su Yin looked at his back as he left in a hurry and sighed. I've already tried a few times. I'm just trying. Why is he still so happy? When people who have been unable to extricate themselves from adversity suddenly see a life-saving straw, even if they don't know what's behind the straw, they will never let it go easily. It was because they had nothing to lose. Su Yin was slightly stunned. She turned to look at Hua Chenhuan and murmured, So, in your opinion, I'm that straw? Yes. Hua Chenhuan's eyes flickered. She said solemnly and affirmatively, You are my life-saving straw. If it weren't for you, I would have fallen into hell. Chapter 510. Su Yin looked at Hua Chenhuan's determined and serious eyes. She blushed slightly and subconsciously wanted to get closer to him. Hua Chenhuan obviously noticed this as well. His eyes darkened slightly, and he began to quietly move closer to Su Yin. Just as the two of them were about to kiss, an explosion suddenly sounded behind them, and the flying ribbons instantly scattered all over their bodies. Yu Zian rushed out from behind the sofa, followed by the two terrified people. Dang dang, let's celebrate young master's complete recovery. The two of them were speechless. Sigh, how embarrassing. This idiot would probably be killed by young master. You? Hua Chenhuan's face darkened as he glared at the three of them. If looks could kill, they would have been pierced into sieves by now. Before they could finish speaking, Su Yin interrupted. You guys are too much. You obviously knew that Chenhuan was good to talk about, but you didn't tell me. You even lied to me with him. How are you going to settle this? The three of them were stunned by Su Yin's roar. After a while, they said, Young master wanted to give you a surprise, and we only found out about it recently. They knew how surprised they were when they saw young master suddenly stand up again. They were so surprised that they almost fainted on the spot. No need to explain, I don't want to hear it, Su Yin shouted. Yuan and Dun go catch them. Today I want to hang them all in the yard to dry. With this order, Dun and Yuan quickly gathered together and rushed in the direction of the three people. Yu Zian was still stunned and didn't know what to do. In the end, Gu Xiaoyang slapped him on the shoulder and said, Why are you still standing there? Run. Oh. Yu Zian seemed to have woken up from a dream. He threw away the firecracker in his hand, turned around, and ran like crazy. A dog and a robot were running back and forth behind the three of them. Behind them was Su Yin, who was commanding the battle. The scene was chaotic and chaotic. Hua Chenhuan didn't know whether to be angry or amused by this scene. Just at this moment, Uncle Zhang suddenly appeared out of nowhere and laughed as he watched the exchange. After young madam came, our house became much livelier than before. There was also a lot of liveliness. Hua Chenhuan's expression warmed as she replied in a low voice, Yes. Uncle Zhang chuckled again. Then, he pulled out a firecracker that looked exactly the same as the one in Yu Zian's hand and pulled it hard. Bang! Young master, congratulations on your recovery. Hua Chenhuan, who was instantly drowned by the colorful ribbons. It wasn't a secret that Su Yin accompanied Hua Chenhuan to the 40th anniversary celebration of the whole corporation, and many people at the scene recognized them. After the celebration, some people couldn't hold back and posted the photos and videos they took online, inviting people from all walks of life to watch their favorite couple. Many people were dumbfounded by this shot. The man who was sitting in a wheelchair and being ridiculed for being disabled not long ago was now standing up like a normal person and walking as beautifully as a model on the runway. F*CK. President Su's husband's leg injury is cured. Ha 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 ha. Let me laugh for a while. Where are the people who mocked President Su for being stubborn even though she married a disabled man and that her husband would never be able to stand up again? Come out and let me see how swollen your face is. Chapter 511. She deserves it. President Su already said that her husband's leg was injured and was receiving treatment. He would recover soon. Some people didn't believe her and even gloated over her misfortune. They deserve to be slapped in the face. Sob, 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 I'm so jealous. Uncle Hua was already handsome enough when he was in a wheelchair. Now that his leg is healed, This gif is so handsome that I can't move my legs. I'm so jealous, sob, sob, sob. Wasn't that right? When Huo Chenhuan was still in a wheelchair, many people thought that he was rich and handsome. However, he was disabled after all. No matter how much they liked his looks, they still had some reservations. Now, this flaw that made them feel regretful was actually gone. Many of the single girls instantly turned into lemon spirits. Under a lot of envious comments, there were naturally some keyboard warriors who couldn't stand Su Yiyin and his wife. Why is it these two people again? Previously, they used their company's artists to create all kinds of hype. Now, they're creating a happy family and doting wife persona. They must be crazy to be famous. That's right. I really don't understand how these two became popular. There are actually people who like them. Do you really think that rich people have true love? What a joke. They're just in a business marriage. Do you know what a business marriage is? Maybe they're just selling their persona to deceive you idiots. When they become famous, they'll directly debut together and create a loving couple persona. Only brainless people like you will believe it. Although these words were jealous of Su Yiyin and his wife, they did directly offend a lot of people. She's the president of an entertainment company and a real rich second-generation sister. You're telling me that she didn't want to be the boss of a company and lowered her status to be a celebrity? Who's the one with a hole in their brain? Your mouth is righteous and your face is smug, as if you're the only one who's awake when everyone else is drunk. Aren't you just jealous that she's prettier and more loving than you? Useless ugliness can take a rest. Leave. No matter how bad she is, she's still handsome and rich. You won't be able to catch up with her even if you work hard for 100 years. In fact, it was not difficult to understand why netizens would pay special attention to Su Yiyin and his wife. There was never a lack of people who were interested in the topic of the rich second generation. It was just that the top wealthy families were generally more low-key, and their main activities were basically in the economic field. Most of the news that came out of the entertainment circle was about XX's rich second generation cheating his father again, XX's rich second generation scandals, XX's rich second generation's luxury car crash, and other negative news. For example, Su Yiyin and his wife, who were unexpectedly in the entertainment circle, were unexpectedly good-looking and were not inferior to the artists under Dongqing City. They were a pleasing couple. Not only did it satisfy the psychological needs of the fans, but it also satisfied everyone's endless curiosity about the marriage of the rich and powerful. How can not be a hot topic? After dissing these keyboard warriors, the majority of CP fans began to ask for more dog food from the CP fan who posted the video and pictures. This big fan of the couple was also very straightforward. He immediately posted a few more videos of the two of them interacting off stage. The length of the videos generally did not exceed 2 minutes. Finally, they focused on the video of Su Yiyin going up on stage to draw the lottery and said, "If it weren't for the big words that popped up on the screen at the end, I would have suspected that Mr. Su won our special prize, the luxurious sea view bungalow." Laughing and crying, because of her method, everyone couldn't help but be a little curious about the lottery gift that she mentioned. They clicked on the video and patiently watched until the end, but they didn't know whether to laugh or cry like the person who took the video. Chapter 512. The style of rich people is indeed different. She's smiling like a 200-pound child just because of 2 couple cups. I'm jealous again, jealous. Other companies' lucky draw prizes are luxurious houses with a sea view, but our company's lucky draw is a 2-day voucher for a small hotel. You have to appreciate the difference. You have to appreciate it. I'm not convinced by the small houses and luxury cars. I'm worth millions, but I can't even compare to 2 couple cups that are only a few hundred yuan. Is it that embarrassing? I know. I was sitting behind the 2 of them when the incident happened. A staff member came down and asked President Su to go up for the lucky draw. President Su's first reaction was to ask her husband what he wanted. The staff member didn't say anything and just stared at the set of couple cups. President Su understood immediately and wanted to go up for the cup. She didn't expect that she would really get it. How could she not be happy? Shocking scene. Please be more detailed. I want to eat dog food. The bitter young lady who had been sitting behind Su Yiyin for 2 hours and had a stomach full of dog food was also happy. She immediately played a short video of Su Yiyin coming down from the stage with the 2 cups and asking for credit from Huo Chenhuan. Ha! President Su's expression is very similar to me when I was awarded the little red flower in kindergarten and went home to ask for praise from my parents. Huh. Stupid mortals. Do you think I lack a mansion or a luxury car? No, I lack those 2 cups, haha. Charming, overbearing flower on the outside. Soft and cute sweetheart on the inside. Sob, 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 sob. Today is another day of crying for someone else's beautiful love. I can only imagine President Su's husband's extremely doting smile. I'm dead, I'm dead. The onlookers were agitated by the two's unrestrained flashes. Some of the devil couple's fans were also fans and naturally hated them. They immediately used some of the clips in the video to create emojis. I'm the best in the world. JPG seeking praise and praise. JPG the landlord's foolish daughter. JPG kind eyes. JPG. If Su Yiyin saw this in person, she would probably be so embarrassed that she wanted to dig a hole and bury herself in it. Unfortunately, she was busy communicating with her husband and did not have the energy to look at what was happening on the internet. On the other hand, Su Yuxuan saw his sister's figure on the computer screen by chance, and his face immediately changed. What is this? The employee, who was browsing the internet to kill time before work, was shocked. This is a very popular video on the internet. It suddenly popped up, and I clicked on it by mistake. I'll turn it off right now. Su Yuxuan glanced at the title of the video, frowned slightly, and left without saying anything. The young employee breathed a sigh of relief and felt that his legs were weak. He had escaped a disaster, but at the same time, he was worried that his performance just now had caused the boss to have a problem with him. Would he be punished or fired in the future? Before she could think further, a colleague beside her had already leaned over curiously and looked at the small video on the screen that had not been turned off in time. Isn't this little boss Su? President Su? The employee was stunned. What President Su? Does our company have a little President Su? The girl in the video is President Su's biological sister. She came to our company before, so it's normal that you haven't seen her since you joined the company late. Don't be fooled by President Su's usual behavior. He's actually a standard sister con. When President Su first came to our company, he was so attentive. If I didn't know better, I would have thought that he was taking care of his daughter. Chapter 5:13. The employee choked. Aren't they siblings? Why does he have a daughter? Why else would he be called a siscon? Our CEO Su treats CEO little Su like she's his own daughter. As the man spoke, he suddenly saw a handsome man beside CEO little Su. Hey, who's this man? Why does he look so close to President little Su? Her husband. Husband? So President little Su is already married. Then, as if he thought of something, he exclaimed, What? President little Su is married? The employee was shocked. President little Su is married. Why are you so surprised? The employee rolled his eyes helplessly. With President Su's siscon, we all thought that President little Su would be at least 30 years old before she got married. Who would have thought that it would be so soon? When President Su saw it just now, did this man appear on screen? I think he did. Her colleague immediately looked at her sympathetically. He even reached out and patted her shoulder, comforting her. My condolences. The employee, condolences my ass. He made it sound like she was about to die. What the employee didn't know was that she was about to die. It was just that someone happened to share the danger with her, allowing her to escape by the skin of her teeth. After Su Yuxuan came out of the company, he searched for the public account of the informant according to the title of the video. As soon as he clicked on it, he was showered with a bunch of dog food. Su Yuxuan. I'm so choked. I'm so angry. Burp. After Su Yuxuan read all the news, his first reaction was, so angry. Not only did his baby sister go on stage for the lucky draw for that D***** man, but she even smiled in surprise because she got a couple's cup. Those who didn't know better would think that their family was poor and couldn't even afford a couple's cup. Don't think that he didn't know the old saying that giving a cup meant a lifetime. This D*Min man was taking advantage of his sister. His second reaction was F***CK. Huichenwan is back on her feet. That D*Min man's leg has recovered. Su Yuxuan wanted to call his sister to confirm the authenticity of this matter, but before the call went through, he was cut off. His intuition told him that this matter was probably related to his sister. It was better for him to go back and discuss it with his parents. Sure enough, when he returned home, Mr. and Mrs. Su had already heard about it. They were both happy and worried. You heard about it too? It seems like the news has already spread. Cannot be spread? Su Yuxuan's face darkened. Suppressing his anger, he said, anyone would be surprised if a person who has been in a wheelchair for so many years suddenly stood up. When Cheng Xiuqin heard his son's words, he frowned slightly and asked in confusion, Yuxuan, why do you look unhappy? Chapter 514. Before Su Yuxuan could finish her sentence, Mr. Su took the initiative to continue. Also, in some people's eyes, Huichenwan's leg isn't good, which means that he's not in danger. But now that his leg has recovered, it's inevitable that some people will be afraid of him. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that Yin Yin is his weakness now. Who knows, some people might be driven to desperate measures. Cheng Xiuqin was stunned, but he quickly understood who Mr. Su was talking about. He couldn't help but show some worry on his face. Then what should we do? Call Yin Yin first and ask her to come over with that guy tomorrow. Some things are better said in person. Okay. I'll call her right away. When Cheng Xiuqin called Su Yin, she had just finished dealing with Yu Zian and the others with Dun Dun and Yuan. She was in a good mood and cooked a table full of dishes for them to celebrate. Yu Zian and the others had originally planned to leave after making a scene and leave their private space to Su Yin and Su Yuxuan. However, Su Yin found it difficult to refuse such great hospitality. She felt that it would be more meaningful if everyone gathered together to celebrate such a good thing. Also, they had a certain understanding of Su Yin's culinary skills. It would be a pity if they left just like that. In the end, they could only freeload a meal at the old residence under Hua Chenhuan's cold gaze. After eating, they immediately left. As soon as they left, Su Yin couldn't help but complain in a low voice, "Don't be so fierce. They're just happy that you're doing well. They didn't mean to disturb us." Huichenwan glanced at her indifferently and exposed her. "You seem to be even fiercer than me just now." Su Yin's expression stiffened. Then she said righteously, "I've already been fierce to them. Why are you still being fierce to them? You can be fierce to yourself, and I'll be fierce to myself. It doesn't affect anything." Su Yin, "Okay, you win." Su Yin, who was rendered speechless by her man, suddenly remembered what old Master Jiang had said not long ago. Perhaps someone was indeed a little petty in some aspects. Su Yin, who was immersed in her new discovery, did not realize that Hua Chenhuan was standing in front of her. Yin Yin, Su Yin raised her head in confusion and was kissed in the next second. It wasn't that the two of them hadn't kissed before, but most of their kisses were superficial, with a hint of consolation and teasing. Unlike this time, there was clearly a sense of tyranny and plunder in addition to pity, making it impossible for people to resist and even escape. Su Yin's mind was in a daze from the kiss, but her heart was thumping wildly. She had a faint premonition that someone was going to be serious this time. Huichenwan purposely whispered into her ear, "Tonight you'll be mine, okay?" There was a hint of eagerness in his deep and magnetic voice. Su Yin was stunned for a few seconds before she realized what Huichenwan meant. The temperature on her face, which had just dropped, immediately soared back up. Thinking about it carefully, it seemed that they had indeed not consummated their marriage. Could it be that tonight they okay? There was a hint of coquettishness and anticipation in his voice. Su Yin could not stand people begging her in a soft voice, especially when this person was Huichenwan. Then, before Su Yin could finish speaking, a loud bell suddenly rang, instantly interrupting her unfinished words. Su Yiyin, Hua Qinhuan. So angry, I really want to hit someone. Chapter 515. Su Yiyin looked down at the caller ID on the screen, then looked at Hua Qinhuan's face, which was as black as the bottom of a pot, and said awkwardly, "It's my mom." Not only did Hua Qinhuan's black face not return to normal, but it darkened even more. If it were someone else, he could still take revenge, but his mother-in-law was someone he could not afford to offend, which made him even more aggrieved. Cheng Xiuqin did not say much over the phone, only asking Su Yiyin to bring Hua Qinhuan back tomorrow. Su Yiyin guessed that she must have known about Hua Qinhuan's matter, so she did not explain. She only promised to bring Hua Qinhuan back tomorrow, and they would talk about it when the time came. My mom wants us to go back tomorrow. Because of my matter? It should be, Su Yiyin said as she stared at Hua Qinhuan without blinking, not saying anything for a long time. Hua Qinhuan felt goosebumps on his back from her stare, and an ominous premonition suddenly arose in his heart. What's wrong? My mom wants us to go back tomorrow. I know. Didn't you just say that? We have to go back tomorrow, so we can't be too tired tonight. Hua Qinhuan finally understood Su Yiyin's meaning. He raised his eyebrows, but he was not as angry as Su Yiyin expected. You can't do it tonight, but tomorrow night? Su Yiyin's expression suddenly froze, and she rolled her eyes in anger out of humiliation. Hua Qinhuan's face suddenly showed an aggrieved expression when she glared at him. Are you that unwilling? Of course, it was not that she was unwilling, but she was caught off guard, and her heart could not take it. But when she calmed down and thought about it, they were husband and wife, and it was normal for them to do that kind of thing. Previously, she had wanted to give him a chubby son or a daughter. With that thought, Su Yiyin did not hesitate anymore. She suddenly raised her head and kissed Hua Qinhuan, then ran away with a blushing face. This time, Hua Qinhuan didn't stop her. She just touched the spot where she was kissed and smiled triumphantly. The news that Hua Qinhuan's legs were healed and she could stand up again quickly spread. Other than a few senior executives in the company who had a good relationship with Su Yiyin, Ning Chirui, and the others, old Master Ching also received the news and called her to ask about it. To celebrate this joyous occasion, Ling Xiaoqi even sent another folder over. Su Yiyin blushed when she saw that. She didn't even dare to sleep with Hua Qinhuan on this last night. She tidied up and ran to the guest room to sleep for the night. The next morning, Su Yiyin woke up early and prepared several exquisite breakfasts. While eating, she also wanted to bring some back for Cheng Xiuqin and the others. As the saying went, gifts blind the eyes. Since they had eaten her food, they wouldn't make things too difficult for her and Hua Qinhuan. Su Yiyin was dreaming. As soon as Hua Qinhuan went downstairs, she immediately chickened out. Even during breakfast, she didn't dare to make eye contact with Hua Qinhuan. She was afraid that she would recall the scenes that she saw last night that were not suitable for children. Hua Qinhuan saw Su Yiyin's embarrassment. The corners of his lips curled up slightly, and his eyes flashed with a little impatience. He had already waited for so long. A little while more wouldn't make a difference. The atmosphere between the two was so subtle that even Uncle Zhang, who was standing on the side, could see it. However, he was not in a hurry. When his young master was in a wheelchair, the young madam was dead set on him. Now that his young master's legs were healed, the relationship between the two would definitely get better and better in the future. A little quarrel between young couples was a catalyst for their relationship. Maybe he would be able to see his young master and young miss in a while, so he had to prepare in advance. Chapter 516. Su Yiyin was unaware of the development of her relationship with Hua Qinhuan. In someone's eyes, they had already skipped the bridal chamber and went straight to having a child. After breakfast, Su Yiyin carried the big box of food and went back to the Su family with Hua Qinhuan. Cheng Xiuqin and the others were waiting for the two at home. Although they were mentally prepared, they could not help but be surprised when they saw Hua Qinhuan walking steadily behind Su Yiyin. Dad, Mom, brother, we're back. They seemed to wake up from a dream. Cheng Xiuqin took the lead to take his daughter's hand and asked, Have you eaten breakfast? Yes, we've eaten before coming over, Su Yin said as she handed the big box to Chang Xiuqin. This is for you. There are some snacks that I sent for you to try before. I heard from brother that you liked them, so I brought some more. Chang Xiuqin opened the box and took a look. It was indeed the snacks they had eaten before. Okay, Mom, I'll ask someone to keep it first. We'll have it for afternoon tea later. When Mr. Su heard that Su Yin had brought his favorite snacks, he was more or less happy. However, he did not forget the main purpose of asking the two of them to come over today. He turned to look at Hua Chenhuan. Your leg, it's healed. When did you start the treatment? A few months ago. After you married Yin Yin? Yes. As soon as Hua Chenhuan said this, the atmosphere in the room suddenly became subtle. Su Yin frowned slightly and quickly interrupted. Mom, Dad, aren't you happy that Chenhuan's leg is healed? We're happy, of course we're happy. If he can recover, as his elders, how can we not be happy? Chang Xiuqin suddenly changed the topic. You came back just in time. Your aunt just called me last night and said that she had some questions for me to ask you. You also know that pregnant women always have all kinds of discomfort and anxiety. Men won't understand this kind of thing even if you tell them. Come upstairs with me. I'll tell you properly. How could Su Yin not understand that Chang Xiuqin wanted to send her away and leave Hua Chenhuan alone to face her father and brother? She immediately felt somewhat unhappy. Mama, you what? She's only been married for a few months, and she's already disobeying her mother? Come, follow me upstairs. Su Yin couldn't do anything about her. She subconsciously looked at Hua Chenhuan with a worried expression. Hua Chenhuan's eyes flashed. You go up with Mom. I'll stay here and talk with Dad and brother. But before Su Yin could finish her words, Hua Chenhuan shook his head at her, indicating that she didn't need to worry and that he could handle it. Seeing he didn't seem to be unprepared, Su Yin reluctantly left with Chang Xiuqin. The two of them didn't hide their little actions. The father and son of the Su family saw it and immediately felt a little jealous. This little heartless girl was guarding against them as if they were thieves. Was she afraid that they would eat up Hua Chenhuan? He didn't know what kind of bewitching potion this stinky brat had fed his daughter, sister, to make her so devoted to him. Father Su, who was soaked in jealousy, snorted coldly and took the lead to stand up. Let's talk in the study. Su Yuxuan followed closely behind Father Su. She straightened her clothes, rolled her eyes at Hua Chenhuan, and followed them out. Hua Chenhuan obviously understood that they were jealous of him. Not only was he not angry, but he also felt a little proud of being favored and quickly followed. Chapter 517. Su Yin followed Chang Xiuqin upstairs, but they did not go directly to the hall or Chang Xiuqin's room. Instead, they returned to Su Yin's original room. This room had been empty since Su Yin got married, but the furnishings in the room had not changed at all. Someone cleaned it every day, so it was exactly the same as before. Su Yin walked around the room. When she turned around, she met Chang Xiuqin's extremely complicated gaze. Mom, what's wrong? Didn't Annie have something to ask me just now? What is it? Chang Xiuqin did not say anything. He still stared at Su Yin quietly. Su Yin felt goosebumps on her back. She coughed lightly and took the lead to break the silence. Mom, if you have something to say, just say it. There's no one else here. Actually, Annie has nothing to ask me, right? Tell Mom honestly. Did Chenhuan's leg recover so quickly have anything to do with you? Were you the one who treated him? Su Yin opened her mouth. She wanted to explain, but when she met Chang Xiuqin's gaze, all the words she wanted to say were reduced to one word. Yes. Chang Xiuqin took a deep breath. Her expression was a little ugly. She paced back and forth in the room twice before asking. I'll ask you another question. You have to tell Mom honestly. Su Yin's heart suddenly skipped a beat. She said weakly, please ask, are you and Hua Chenhuan really together because you like each other? Do you have some kind of agreement? What? What agreement? Su Yin blinked and looked confused. Something like an agreement where you two get married. He helps you vent your anger, and you help him treat his illness. Su Yin did not expect her mother's imagination to be so wild. She even imagined a prenuptial agreement. While she breathed a sigh of relief, she did not know whether to laugh or cry. Mom, what are you thinking about? How could the two of us have such a thing? You really didn't? Cheng Xiuqin looked at Su Yiyin in disbelief. At that time, Su Yiyin had suddenly changed her mind and wanted to marry Huo Chenhuan. Moreover, the two of them had long been in love with each other and would not marry anyone but him. Although the family could not dissuade her, they still had doubts in their hearts. They were afraid that the two of them were just impulsive. In the future, when they calmed down and stopped being impulsive, it would be easy for them to become resentful couples. Until yesterday, when he suddenly learned that Huo Chenhuan's leg had been healed, Cheng Xiuqin was indeed happy at first. Later, when he heard what his husband and son said, he couldn't help but feel a little worried. With this worry, she inevitably began to let her imagination run wild again. She even dug up the previous matter. She felt that the two of them might have made some kind of deal before they got married, and Huo Chenhuan's leg could be healed as one of the terms of this deal. Of course not, Mama Ing. What are you thinking? Am I the kind of person who would joke about my lifelong happiness? If I really wanted to make a deal with him, there are many ways to do it. Why would I choose the method that was the most disadvantageous to me? In order to teach the scumbag a lesson and vent my anger for myself, I sacrificed my lifelong happiness. Mom, do you think I'm such a stupid person? Cheng Xiuqin was speechless by his daughter's words. He also realized that his imagination was indeed too presumptuous. Immediately, he felt a little embarrassed and complained. You were too unreliable at that time. You wanted to break off the engagement, but unexpectedly, you arranged another marriage for yourself. In addition, Huo Qihan's family was too infuriating at that time. I was afraid that you got married on a whim. After all, I've never heard you talk about him before. Chapter 518. Su Yiyin never thought that her mother would actually think this way, even though she said that she believed her. However, on second thought, if it were her, if the person she was extremely close to suddenly changed her personality one day and said that she wanted to marry someone she had never heard of before, she was afraid that there would be a question mark in her heart. Yes. This is indeed my fault. I didn't tell you in advance and gave you such a big shock. However, I really didn't lie to you about the fact that we like each other. I have always been cautious about matters of the heart. I won't joke about it easily. Moreover, when Chenhuan and I got married, you should have seen the betrothal gifts that Chenhuan gave. If we were really just in a contract marriage, how could he take out all his assets without reservation? He's not stupid. Cheng Xiuqin was stunned. After thinking about it carefully, it made sense. Forget it. Chenhuan's leg is already healed. You two live well in the future. I won't worry about it anymore. Okay. Cheng Xiuqin smiled and pinched her daughter's little face. Then, she seemed to have thought of something and frowned. By the way, after you two get married, who is in charge of the family's money? Su Yiyin was stunned. Although she didn't quite understand why she asked this, she still answered truthfully. Now, most of it is under my name. Other than some basic funds for the operation of the company, most of it has been invested. The profits have been quite good recently. It's good that you're in charge. However, you'd better be careful. Now that Chenhuan's leg is healed, he will have to go out and socialize in the future. It's not that I don't believe in your relationship, but the family itself needs to be managed well. Marriage doesn't mean that everything will be fine. Su Yin's mouth twitched slightly. Mom, are you worried that Chenhuan will cheat on me after he recovers? Cheng Xiuqin glared at her. I didn't say that. I just want you to be careful. Relationships need to be managed, and so does family. Don't take it too seriously. Otherwise, if you come back crying to us in the future, we won't care about you. Su Yiyin laughed. Even if you don't care about me, don't you still have my brother? If he dares to let me down, my brother will be the first to not let him off. You, just because your brother dotes on you? Su Yiyin held her hand and laughed. After laughing, she couldn't help but turn to look at her and ask in a low voice, Mom, other than this, do you have anything else to ask me? The smile on Cheng Xiuqin's face also faded a little. She looked at her little daughter, who had never made her worry since she was a child. After a long time, he let out a long sigh. Yes, but I won't ask. This answer was beyond Su Yin's expectations. Why? Actually, ever since you were pushed down by that bastard Huo Xiaofeng and that little b asterisk TCH and sent to the hospital, I felt that you seemed to have changed. You became different. It didn't matter if it was his thoughts or his personality. It's not that you've changed a lot all of a sudden. It's just that you seem to have matured a lot all of a sudden. You're starting to have your own little secrets. Mom. Chang Xiuqin held her hand and said with a smile, at that time, your father and I both thought that you grew up all of a sudden because of Huo Xiaofeng's incident. At first, we were also very worried that you might have been holding it in. If you continue to hold it in, would you get sick? Su Yiyin was touched and helpless. I really don't have any feelings for Huo Xiaofeng. Breaking off the engagement with him really didn't affect me much. Chapter 519. Even if you don't have feelings for him, it's a fact that what he did hurt you. From the beginning to the end, they were not angry at Huo Xiaofeng for falling in love with someone else, but at his self-righteousness. From the beginning, he never put the Su family and Su Yiyin on the same level as him. Even when he broke off the engagement, he was condescending and aggressive. Originally, even if it was the man's fault for breaking off an engagement, the woman would definitely be hurt to a certain extent. Otherwise, no one would say something like, "It's because you're not good enough to keep the man. You deserve to be abandoned." Huo Xiaofeng's actions at that time practically threw their family, especially Su Yiyin's face to the ground and trampled on it. Chang Xiuqin did not find it strange that Su Yiyin was provoked because of this. Later, when we saw you fiddling with some strange things, we also felt that you were unhappy and wanted to find something interesting to divert your attention. Until your aunt came over. When Su Yiyin heard this, her hands subconsciously tightened. The medicinal cuisines she made at the beginning were more toward diseases, and they were all given to the audience in the live broadcast room in a lucky draw after they were done. Even when she made some for her family later on, her family basically did not have any major problems. Most of the food she made was mainly for maintenance. The most obvious one was to nourish her uncle and aunt's health and let them have a child. Then why didn't you ask me at that time? I wanted to ask, but I was stopped by your grandfather. Grandfather? Su Yiyin was a little surprised. Your grandfather saw through your father's and my thoughts and deliberately talked to us. He told us that it's normal for children to have secrets when they're old. Since you don't know, you must have your own difficulties. As elders, the only thing we can do for you is to pretend that we don't know anything. We don't want to make things difficult for you. As long as you're well, it's fine. Mom. Su Yiyin's eyes stung. She could not help but reach out and hug Chang Xiuqin's waist. I didn't mean to hide it from you. It's just that I don't know how to tell you. I'm also afraid that you'll be sad and worried if I do. I know. Later on, I also understood that you must have your reasons. I only hope that you can live a good and peaceful life with Chenhuan happily. In the future, when you give birth to a son or a daughter, your family will be lively and happy. It's better than anything else. Yes. Chang Xiuqin patted her daughter's head lovingly and sighed. Your father asked you to come over today because he was curious about Chenhuan's leg. On the other hand, he was worried that if his leg recovered, those people who hit him when he was down and felt threatened by his recovery would do something to hurt you out of desperation. When you go back, you should also tell Chenhuan to be more careful recently. Those people with no ability and heart are used to playing dirty tricks. You can't be careless. Su Yiyin could tell who she was referring to. She hurriedly nodded, and a cold light flashed in her eyes. Before this, she had not seriously done anything to win Jinping and the others. First, she was full of thinking about how to cure Huo Chenhuan. She did not have the energy to deal with them. They did not provoke her. As long as they did not go too far, she was too lazy to deal with them. Second, she was also afraid of the so-called protagonist halo. If she did not kill them, she might be unlucky. If she killed them, the world would collapse. Chapter 520. No matter which one it was, it would be a strenuous and unrewarding task. He could only steal Wen Jingping's golden finger bit by bit to prevent her from playing any tricks. Now, that Hua Chenwan's leg was healed, and he had stolen nearly half of Wen Jingping's female lead halo. It was time to think about how to deal with the two of them. Su Yiyan was already secretly thinking about how to make trouble for Wen Jingping and Hua Xiaofeng. On the other hand, Hua Chenwan was under double pressure from her father-in-law and brother-in-law. We're all family, so let's not beat around the bush. Yin Yin cured your leg, right? Hua Chenwan's eyes flashed. She didn't plan to hide it from the two of them. Yes. Who else knows about this? Other than a few of my trusted aides, only one of my uncles knows about it. However, Yin Yin has helped a few people before. If word gets out, even if we don't say anything, they should be able to guess. Su Yuxuan and his father thought that Su Yiyan had only cured Hua Chenhuan. They didn't expect that there were others. Judging from his tone, there seemed to be a lot of them. So many people, Hua Chenhuan knew what they were worried about. We can't hide this. Yin Yin doesn't plan to hide it. Grandpa knows about it too. Su Yuxuan's face darkened. Grandpa, a professor from a university, found Yin Yin through the Research Institute, hoping that she could use her abilities to benefit the public. Yin Yin agreed. Now, he occasionally goes over to teach them on the weekends. Although the students and teachers have all signed confidentiality agreements, if this goes on, it will definitely leak out. When the father and son heard what he said, their expressions were a little complicated. Since the professor had found Yin Yin through the Research Institute, Grandpa Chung must have talked to him and knew about it. The fact that Grandpa Shun allowed her to look for Yin Yin meant that he had acquiesced to her decision. In the end, she chose the most difficult path. Mr. Su's expression was a little ugly. He said worriedly and gloomily, "This child." Seeing this, Hua Chenhuan comforted her father. "Dad, if you're worried that Yin Yin's medical skills will cause trouble for her, you don't have to worry. I can protect her." What arrogance! Before Mr. Su could say anything, Su Yuxuan interrupted. A man's wealth is his own ruin. No matter how powerful a man is, he's still afraid of death, illness, and accidents. Yin Yin, are you sure you'll be able to protect her if she encounters some unreasonable and ruthless characters? How are you going to protect her? Brother, you don't have to worry about that. On the surface, I've basically transferred all the assets under Yin Yin's name, but some of the assets that don't suit her are still in my hands. Mr. Su subconsciously looked at Su Yuxuan when he heard this. He looked surprised. What do you mean? My father did give the Hua Corporation to Hua Qihan back then, but my mother left everything she had to me. It was Hua Qihan's fault for being too greedy. He only had eyes for the Hua Corporation, thinking that it was the biggest piece of meat. Little did he know that Mrs. Hua's family background back then was not inferior to her husband's at all. This was also the reason why he was able to quickly establish Fantasy Club in a few years and spread its branches to many fields, even though he was only assigned to the family Hua mansion. My uncle has been managing the inheritance my mother left me all these years. Then your uncle, he's abroad. Hua Chenhuan met the father and son's inquisitive gazes. He's under. Chapter 521. When Su Yiyan came downstairs, Hua Chenhuan and Su Yuxuan had just come out of the study. Su Yiyan immediately rushed over when he saw him and asked softly, "Are you okay? What can happen to me?" Dad and brother were just concerned about my recovery and wanted to ask me a few questions. Father and brother Su, who cares about you? Shameless. Su Yiyan was not so easily fooled. He looked at them suspiciously. Really? Su Yuxuan and his son received the suspicious gaze from their sister-daughter. Their hearts felt as if they had been soaked in vinegar for more than 10 years, and it was extremely sour. Their baby did not even believe them in order to protect this dog of a man. She even looked at them suspiciously. Aya, their hearts hurt so much. Chang Xiuqin saw through the father and sons acting at a glance. He rolled his eyes helplessly. All right. Your dad and the rest are just curious about how he recovered so quickly. He's not a scourge or a beast. Would he eat Chenhuan? Su Yiyan touched his nose awkwardly and smiled apologetically. Chang Xiuqin saw this and decisively turned to the father and son. It's rare for Yin Yin and Xinhuan to come back. Even if you're curious, you'd better control yourself. If you scare them away, I'll teach you a lesson later. The father and son of the Su family. What happened to the promise of advancing and retreating together? In the end, you still betrayed them. However, they could not say anything. People at the bottom of the food chain really could not be hurt. Sob, sob, sob. After the family had a peaceful lunch, everyone made a video call to Cheng Juanhao. In the video call, Cheng Shuiru's belly was already quite big, and her face had also gained some weight. Yin Yin, you're home? Yes, Xinhuan and I are back. When Qin Shuiru heard her mention Hua Xinhuan, the corners of her lips curled up slightly. She smiled faintly and said, I've heard about Xinhuan from Junhao. Congratulations. Su Yiyin chuckled, his face full of joy. Seeing this, the people present looked at each other and laughed. Aunt, how have you been recently? Is the baby okay? After Qin Shuiru returned to the Cheng family, the two would video call once every half a month. Su Yiyin would meet with the other party and adjust her daily diet based on the specific prenatal checkup report. Everything is good. The baby has been moving more frequently recently. Your uncle said that the baby is so naughty, it's most likely a boy. That's not for sure. Qin Shuiru had just finished speaking when Cheng Xiuqin impatiently interrupted. When Yin Yin was in my stomach previously, she was much more noisy than Yushuan. His father, and I thought it was another chubby boy. We didn't expect it to be a baby girl. It was Su Yin's first time hearing Cheng Xiuqin talk about this, and she was surprised. Really? Why don't I? Cheng Xiuqin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You weren't even born at that time. How could you have any impression? But speaking of this, it's indeed quite magical. When your brother was in my belly, he was very obedient and didn't move much. Your father and I were worried that there was something wrong with the baby. We did a lot of tests, and all said that the baby was very healthy. We thought it was a quiet baby girl. In the end, we didn't expect that the baby would be a monkey spirit. He was so naughty that your father chased after him every day to hit him. You, on the other hand, were very noisy during pregnancy. But when you were born, you didn't cry or make a fuss. It was very easy to raise. Cheng Xiuqin glanced at his eldest son with disdain as he spoke. Clearly, he was reminded of the fear of being dominated by a naughty child more than 20 years ago. Chapter 522. Su Yushuan, who had been enjoying the show, was suddenly made the scapegoat. You guys could talk about your own things. Why are you dragging me into this? Why was she always the one getting hurt? Compared to Su Yushuan's grief and indignation, Hua Chenhuan was more interested in Su Yiyin's childhood. She even took the initiative to ask, Mom, do you have any photos or videos of Yin Yin when she was young? Cheng Xiuqin replied without hesitation, yes, quite a lot. Yin Yin was very obedient when she was young. She did whatever she was told. Her father took many videos and photos of her in little dresses. If you're interested, I'll send you a copy later. Hua Chenhuan's eyes lit up. Thank you, Mom. Su Yiyin blushed and mumbled, I was very tan when I was young. I was quite ugly. I didn't look good at all. That's because you insisted on going fishing with your grandfather. How could you not get tanned in the summer? Old Master Cheng liked fishing and liked to invite his friends to fish. Most of the old master's friends were fishing friends of his. Su Yiyin had stayed with the Cheng family for a period of time when she was young and often went fishing with the old master. In the hottest days of the summer, even with umbrellas and sunscreen lotion, a child's tender skin would still darken after a month or two. Su Yiyin had looked through the family photos before and had a deep impression of those photos. She looked like a black coal ball. Hua Chenhuan didn't give up after hearing her words. Instead, she became even more curious and said excitedly, Yin Yin looks good no matter what. Even if you're tan, you look good too. Su Yiyin. Now that she was said that, she felt a little embarrassed. Everyone. Sweet words and honeyed words. We won't eat this dog food. Auntie, take care of yourself first. In a month, Su Yiyin wanted to say, I'll take Xinhuan to your place. But then she remembered that Hua Chenhuan's leg had just recovered. She might be very busy in the following days and wouldn't have time to accompany her. Hua Chenhuan could tell at a glance that she was at a loss. She smiled faintly and said, "Now that my leg is healed, I was just thinking of going out for a walk. It just so happens that our honeymoon hasn't ended yet." Su Yin's eyes lit up. That's right. Although they were married, they hadn't had their honeymoon yet. "Then in another month, Chenhuan and I will go over to look for you. At that time, you and Uncle must not dislike us for freeloading." Qin Shiru was almost 8 months pregnant. In another month, it would be almost the due date. She and Hua Chenhuan could go over to watch the birth of the child. At the same time, they could stay for another month to help her with her confinement. A month later, Fan Weiming and his wife's treatment was almost complete. Both Ning Chure and his brother were in the recovery period, so she only needed to send the medicinal cuisine to them every day. Luo Weebing's sister was the same. She needed to stabilize and recuperate for a while before she could carry out follow-up treatment. For the time being, there was no hurry. Not to mention the company. Xia Junsheng was in charge of Dongqing. Li Jingwen and the others in the medicinal cuisine restaurant could also take charge of it. Usually, she only contacted them remotely and didn't go to the restaurant much. Not to mention that there were a few old professors who went to their restaurant every day under the pretext of eating medicinal cuisine to nourish their bodies. In fact, they just wanted to see more of the medicinal herbs in their restaurant. With their protection, as long as the employees didn't make trouble themselves, there shouldn't be any big problems. As for Uncle Jiang yesterday, she didn't know if he could help. Even if he could, she would let them find him by themselves or simply postpone the treatment and wait for her to come back. Chapter 523. She had a heavy attitude of asking for help. She did not owe them anything. Compared to them, her aunt and future cousins were definitely more important. Su Yiyin had already calculated in her heart and was not afraid at all. When Qin Shiru heard that she was coming, she could not hide the smile on her face. "I'm more than happy that you guys can come. Why would I dislike it?" Then it's settled. After successfully setting the time, Su Yiyin reminded Qin Shiru of some things to pay attention to. Noticing that she was a little tired, she hung up the call first. After that, the two of them stayed at the Su residence for a while. They politely declined Cheng Xiuqin's invitation to stay for dinner and left the Su residence before dinner. The two of them had just gotten into the car when Hua Chenhuan asked first. "Mom and Dad were both here just now." "I'm embarrassed to ask. What did Mom say to you when she brought you upstairs? Did she make things difficult for you?" "What can Mom make things difficult for me?" "She's worried about me." Hua Chenhuan raised an eyebrow. "Worried?" "Yes. Worried that I'll be abandoned by you." Hua Chenhuan's face darkened. Without thinking, he said, "I won't abandon you." Su Yiyin rolled her eyes and deliberately teased him. "That's hard to say. My mom said that it's easy for a man to turn bad when he's rich. You're rich to begin with, but you were like that before. Now that things are good, who knows what kind of crazy bees and butterflies will come to seduce you." Su Yiyin wanted to tease him at first, but toward the end, she was really jealous. "Don't tell me that it's not possible." Back then, the young master of the family, who was famous for being a rich husband, many girls took the initiative to throw themselves at him. Didn't a niece who almost became your fiancée popped up a few days ago? Hua Chenhuan listened to Su Yiyin's sour questioning. Looking at her small mouth that could be hung with a bottle of vinegar, she hurriedly swore, "No matter how many girls come to me, I will never take a fancy to them. You are the only one in my heart." Of course, Su Yiyin knew this. But when he thought that there might be women who would take the initiative to stick to Hua Chenhuan, he felt a little jealous. The smile in Hua Chenhuan's eyes deepened when he saw her like this. He patiently coaxed her. "You just said that the women who come to me at this time are basically here for my money and my identity. Even if they have a little bit of affection for me, they must have a motive. It's not pure. Do you think I'm that stupid to give up on someone who truly loves me for those hypocritical feelings?" Su Yiyin's face became a little better, but she was a little disappointed. If her mother hadn't reminded her, she wouldn't have thought that Hua Chenhuan's good attitude not only meant that he would re-enter the eyes of the big families and pose a threat to many people, but also meant that his identity, his status, and the hidden money behind him would attract a lot of covetous eyes. Hua Chenhuan seemed to know what she was thinking. He slightly raised the corners of his mouth and said, "Have you forgotten that all the industries under my name are now in your hands? If those people know about this, do you think they will still come to me?" Su Yin was slightly startled. She felt a little proud in her heart, but she still said, "Although they are in my hands, the people who manage these industries are your people. If you want to secretly transfer the assets, it's not impossible." Huo Chenhuan couldn't help laughing. His little wife had watched so many rich and powerful family dramas that she even thought of transferring assets. "Do you mean that you want to replace Yan Bai and the others and let your people manage these industries?" Chapter 524. Su Yin was silent for a moment and shook her head. "They're professionals. If it were other companies, they might not be able to operate well. Moreover, these things were originally yours. If you want to take them back, I have nothing to say." In the end, these things did not change. What changed was the human heart. When a person loved you, they wanted to give you all the good things. These things were the sweetness of love to you, and it was the proof that they cared about you. But if they really didn't love you, no matter how hard you try to keep them, the other party had countless ways to take them back from you. So, listen carefully. If you dare to betray me in the future, I don't want you anymore." Huo Chenhuan's eyes flashed slightly. He pressed against Su Yin's forehead and looked straight into her eyes. He said word by word, "I won't give you the chance." Su Yin smiled and took the initiative to change the topic. "I told you what my mother told me. Shouldn't you tell me what my father and brother told you? They're also worried about you." "Worried about me?" Su Yin was stunned. She felt that what they were worried about might be different from what her mother was worried about. "Worried about me? They guessed that you cure my leg. They were worried that this matter would be too eye-catching and cause you trouble." Su Yin was silent for a while. She asked Li Si in a low voice, "Am I too willful?" She knew that some things would cause trouble, but she still couldn't bear to pretend that she didn't see it. In the end, her family still had to help and protect her. Huo Chenhuan couldn't bear to see her so disappointed. He reached out to touch her head and sighed. "Have you forgotten what I told you before? As long as it's something you want to do, do it. I'm here." It wasn't that he hadn't thought of hiding Su Yin. In fact, this idea had appeared more than once. But no matter how much time had passed, the person in front of him was his nemesis. He would be jealous and resentful, but he always couldn't bear to hurt her or do anything to make her unhappy. Su Yin was like a little sun in his eyes. She warmed him and also warmed those who had nowhere to go. He didn't want to share this warmth with anyone, but he was afraid that if he tried to stop it, it would cause this little sun to lose its warmth. Therefore, the only thing he could do was to let this little sun shine without any worries and not let anyone hurt her. In order to do this better, he was so eager to stand up when he found that he could still feel his legs. "Yin Yin, I will protect you. You don't have to worry about anything else." Su Yin's eyes flickered slightly. In a trance, she thought of the man in her previous life who was willing to go against the whole world for her. "Yes, I believe you." By the time they got home, it was already dark. After dinner, Huo Chenhuan couldn't wait to bring Su Yin upstairs. Only then did Su Yin realize what kind of trap she had dug for herself last night. Looking at a certain someone whose eyes were so bright that they almost burned her, Su Yin's mouth twitched slightly. She took a deep breath and said, take a shower first." Huo Chenhuan's eyes deepened. Together, Su Yin, if they did, would she still be alive? Aye, I'll go first." Su Yin didn't dare to look Huo Chenhuan in the eye. She picked up her clothes and rushed into the bathroom. Huo Chenhuan didn't stop her. Looking at her back as she left in a hurry, his eyes flashed with a determined light. Chapter 525. After Su Yin rushed into the bathroom, her face was so red that it could drip blood. The rising hot water spread in the room and covered the mirror at the side. Su Yin looked at her red face in the mirror and thought about what was going to happen next. Her heart couldn't stop thumping. Isn't it just a wedding night? We are legally married. Why are you panicking? Can't you be more mature? Su Yin glared at herself in the mirror. Then, She took a shower as fast as she could and hid under the covers before Hua Chenhuan came near. Hua Chenhuan glanced at Su Yiyin, who was hiding under the covers like a small bump, and the smile in his eyes deepened. When she heard the bathroom door close again, Su Yiyin poked her head out from under the covers and reached out to touch her phone. She opened the private collection that Ling Xiaoqi had sent her and decided to make a last-minute effort. However, Su Yiyin misjudged Hua Chenhuan's shower time and even misjudged how anxious he was about this. Just as she was nervously watching the short video with complicated feelings, the bathroom door opened with a click. Su Yiyin was shocked and instinctively wanted to turn off the short video. Unfortunately, she wasn't as lucky as before this time. In a fluster, the phone slipped out of her hand and slid to Hua Chenhuan's feet. Hua Chenhuan. Su Yiyin. Hua Chenhuan was stunned for a moment and leaned over to pick up the phone. Su Yiyin was so scared that her face changed shape and she screamed, "Don't move." But she was still a step too late. Hua Chenhuan glanced at the silent short video that was still playing on the screen. When he raised his head again, he looked at Su Yiyin with a complicated and meaningful gaze. Su Yiyin felt her scalp tingle under his gaze and said in a trembling voice, "Let me explain." "Okay, you explain. I'm a little nervous." Hua Chenhuan's eyes flickered. "So, you watch these little videos to relieve your tension?" Su Yiyin lowered her head slightly, wishing she could dig a hole and bury herself in it. Hua Chenhuan's laughter rang in her ears. Su Yiyin's face suddenly turned red. She raised her head to glare at Hua Chenhuan angrily. Before she could finish her words, her lips were kissed, and a certain figure pressed down on her. "I'm sorry." Hua Chenhuan's voice was low and magnetic, just like in the past, but with a sexiness that had never been there before. "You don't need to learn this kind of thing. Just leave it to me." Su Yiyin didn't have time to ponder over his words before the quilt was flipped over and covered the two of them. The late wedding night was more special and ambiguous than any other night, making people blush. The next morning, Su Yiyin woke up in a trance. Before she was completely awake, a cool kiss fell on her forehead. "Morning." Su Yiyin opened her eyes wide and subconsciously glanced at the quilt. Sure enough, the two of them did everything. Nothing. Where? Recalling what happened last night, Su Yiyin's face turned red. She subconsciously hid under the quilt and whispered, "Morning." Hua Chenhuan saw that she was shy, so he reached out and hugged her tighter. "Yin Yin. What? You finally belong to me completely." Su Yiyin's face turned red. She wished she could hide under the quilt and never come out. But soon she thought of another thing. She poked her head out of the quilt and stared at Hua Chenhuan with burning eyes. Chapter 5:26. Hua Chenhuan was inexplicably flustered by her stare. He asked in a low voice, "What's wrong? Last night, was it really your first time?" Hua Chenhuan frowned. He didn't understand why she asked this question. Could it be that she thought his technique wasn't good enough? "It was my first time." "Then why are you so skilled?" Hua Chenhuan was stunned. He couldn't help but laugh. "Can I take it that you're praising me?" Su Yiyin blushed and glared at him. "Don't change the topic." Hua Chenhuan laughed. "I was still underage when the accident happened." The implication was that she couldn't do it when she was underage. She had no chance to do it when she was an adult. Of course, it was her first time. "Then you can watch videos." "Can I read books?" "Read books." Su Yiyin's eyes widened. She obviously didn't expect this answer. "Yes." Su Yiyin frowned. "Where did you get the books? Who recommended them to you?" "A small yellow book." "Who was it?" "Who was the one who led my husband astray?" "The three people who were worried sick for their young master." "Achoo." Hua Chenhuan didn't answer her question. Instead, he asked, "Then who gave you the videos?" Su Yiyin choked. "I asked first. Zian, Xiaoyang, and Yinbai." Hua Chenhuan decisively betrayed his trusted subordinates. Then, he gestured to Su Yiyin. "It's your turn to speak now." Su Yiyin's eyes darted around. She didn't dare to look at Hua Chenhuan. Hua Chenhuan saw her like this and guessed. "Ling Xiaoqi?" Su Yiyin trembled. She still didn't speak. Hua Chenhuan already had an answer. A dark light flashed in his eyes. Su Yin felt guilty for a while, but she suddenly regained her confidence. You read the book, and I watched the video. We're even now. It's not even, Hua Chenhuan said without hesitation. You're not allowed to look at it anymore. Su Yin glared at him. Why? Words aren't as direct as videos. Haven't you seen enough of me? You still want to look at other men? In the end, porn was just text. It didn't have the visual effect of a short video. The reason he read pornographic novels was to increase his knowledge in this area, but he had never looked at other women's bodies. Su Yin was different at the thought of this. Hua Chenhuan wished she could burn the men and women in the video to ashes. Su Yin knew that he was in the wrong, so his momentum immediately weakened. Fine. Is that all? Then what do you want? Su Yin glared at him again. This guy was getting more and more insatiable. I want compensation. What? Su Yin had just finished speaking when she was kissed again. Then, the two people under the big quilt could be seen struggling. Occasionally, Su Yin's voice of protest could be heard. No, get up quickly. I still have class in the afternoon. Hua Chenhuan, you bastard. Fortunately, Hua Chenhuan still had a little conscience. He knew that Su Yin still had class in the afternoon. In the end, he didn't go all the way and let her go. Su Yin escaped with difficulty. Looking at the obvious red marks on her neck in the mirror, she angrily gritted her teeth. This beast, she told him not to leave marks on such an obvious place, but he just didn't listen. Now, she still had class in the afternoon. If it was seen by others, Su Yin, who was ashamed and angry, looked depressed. She secretly wondered if it was because she had been making medicinal meals for a certain someone recently. She had given him too much nourishment, so he didn't know how to control himself. Should she make something else to calm him down? You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.